come in, it's likely going to be a ban here for Evil Geniuses.
Yep.
It might be the case, but the Lucian, I think, is a really good ban that does come through for
Yes.
us. This is something that I think Aspect has just been so damn good on. You do not want to get him a champion like this, so they're going to remove it and follow it up here for EGP. Will be that Karma for the first ban.
That's right, and then Lucian really good right now. Both these mid laners played exceptionally well resolved, not willing to let that go on the red side, so they're just going to get rid of it here. You can't fool me. You're not banning Nasus. The Karma ban makes a lot of sense as well. Super strong at the moment here, and Akali, there you go, that's more like it.
Yeah, Akali's just been so damn good. The champion I don't think has been talked about enough, but just with all the squishies that are currently in the meta, yeah, there's a lot of value that Akali finds. So good ban here for Resolve, making sure that does not slip on in, especially knowing red side will have some counter picks that can come in. And now it's that Gwen, which is something we typically see for the red side. You can't allow it to come on in unless you're just so confident. You're like, listen, let the Gwen go through. I'm going to stop it, and I'll make sure they'll never pick Gwen again.
Well, Wildcard Red are certainly no strangers to that particular strategy. It's worked out pretty well for them so far. But EGP, not interested, not looking for any snips. They're just going to get it. Just get rid of it. They don't want to look at it no more. Now, yeah, you bring up that good point with champs like Akali, how strong some of those top laners are, like we were talking about, how good she is top lane, how good Gwen. Renekton is another example. And there it is. They're going to lose the Lee Sin too.
All right, so a lot of top champions have been taken out. Now we'll see what they want to lock on in. Junglers have not really been touched unless you're considering Delician that does get put in that role from time to time. But that is maybe what we're looking at here. Of course, Beatdown giggles because he knows that I'm not a big fan of Delician in the jungle right now. So happy to see that. Maybe Beatdown, you know, just a bit. I'm not too fond of it overall, but now we're going to zone on in for it. And there it is. That's the enchanter we mentioned, Lulu. She has very high priority in Resolve. They want that here for themselves.
And rightfully so, too. So strong, can be flexed into many lanes, top, mid, support, and just the power that she offers and how she really supports these double 80 carry compositions that we're starting to see come through. You think the likes of running Kindred in the jungle and then another ADC. Ezreal, it could be any number of them, but the Lulu to offer the shields, and of course that wild growth is so huge, and honestly, I'm surprised Lulu doesn't get banned more often.
Have to agree with you, but they will take away the Xin Zhao. A huge combination is that Lulu Xin Zhao that has come out here multiple times. So I like that takeaway here for Evil Geniuses, but that means that they are going to have to make some adaptations, maybe happen on the fly with a draft to try and help out and assist this Xin Zhao as they'll try to come on through with their second pick here. It's the jungler, of course, that comes on in first. So now do you grab yourself a support? Do you grab yourself a support, you know, like that can set up these engages here for EGP? It looks like they're going to settle with what can be a flex pick, but typically what we see in the top lane here is the Nocturne.
And that's already something that tells me EGP are just looking for, not quite support necessarily, but they want to support these dives, Austin. They just want to start going in. They're not afraid to immediately kind of show their hand just a little bit here with something like the Xin Zhao and the Nocturne right away. Especially part of that flex potential is there. We don't see lane Xin Zhao a lot, but it's definitely a valid pick.
Oh, okay.
Oh, Lulu Olaf, okay.
Yeah, this is like an old school combination. I think like the first time I remember really seeing this was like the TSM brought it out like maybe like 5 or 6 years ago with like Dyrus, and I just remember Olaf just going absolutely rampant, and Lulu just gives him the speed buffs, gives him the wild growth, and it can be so difficult to deal with him simply because he doesn't take any CC when he's got the Ragnarok popped here. So that should be a fun pick, and they're going to follow it up with some extra dive to assist this Olaf here with the set as well.
Yeah, and it's really still some flex potential, not actually a lot of flex potential on Resolve side. Not a whole lot has really been given away outside of the jungle pick, and you could say about the same for EGP. Of course, the Ezreal most likely will be going in the bottom lane. I may have dreamed of this, but I could have sworn somewhere in like LPL someone did play Ezreal mid, but you're going to, so I can confirm that, we're just going to put a pin on that. I'm going to assume that's 80
We can
Ezreal.
dream.
Yeah. Can we dream? Do I watch it? I don't know.
I would love to watch it. Would not like to play against it, but I feel like Ezreal in the mid lane's flashy, right? It shows just how good you are with the champion overall because you're in the 1v1. Can you land the skill shots and things like this? It'd be fun, but probably unexpected. And now we come in towards the second bans here in phase 2, and the Sylas is removed. A lot of solo laners have actually been taken off the table, but EGP are going to opt into maybe removing some of those supports as they take down the Nautilus.
Yeah, and Nautilus makes a lot of sense. They're going to take the Kalista. They're not convinced that Lulu is going in the support role, and I can't really say I blame them. It's so strong in the solo lane, especially top lane. There aren't many top laners who can actually get prior on Lulu, so it's just a fair assumption on EGP's part, especially because that would really do well for Resolve's composition here. Now we want to
Yeah.
see what Resolve are going to take away here. Leona does make a lot of sense because, again, you already know EGP is going for the dive. One of the best dive supports there is Leona, so you just doesn't make sense to leave that up.
That's right. And, well, SkyTech has liked the Alistar. We'll see if maybe that's something he looks at picking up for himself. Right now, we'll hover over what could be the mid lane pick and is. So they're going to save the support pick for last. They're going to bring in the Zoe for us. And this is now going to be a counter pick for Resolve to see, all right, you picked the Zoe. What do we want to play into it?
Yeah, that's going to be an interesting one. It's nice, too, for EGP, because when you have a jungler like Xin Zhao, who we presume is going to go into the jungle, for him to be able to make those aggressive early game plays, a big thing he needs is priority. Fight for the Scuttle Crabs, fight for these 2v2 skirmishes. So getting that ability is really important there. But APA is going to play Aurelion Sol.
Yes, he will. Yes, he will, baby. I don't know. I always get amped when I see APA on Aurelion Sol. He's just so good on it. Like, it's really fun to watch. And this really was, you know, what we brought up at the beginning of the draft. Like, you know, do you want to risk letting this go through, or do you have something prepared? Well, it's the Aurelion Sol picked into the Zoe, and then to finalize this composition for EGP, they will settle with the Rakan to set them up with some extra engage for this Nocturne and the Xin Zhao.
Yeah, and one thing we haven't highlighted yet is that Resolve are actually going to run Lulu in that support role, and they are going to run Lulu Cog, Austin. There's not a balanced spot lane. You give them 5 to 10 minutes of free farming, and this game might be doomed for the side of Resolve. They just need to be able to survive the dive. That's the big thing. You got a lot of ranged poke on EGP side. You got a good amount of all-in with things like Rakan, Xin Zhao, and the Nocturne. Can you just live for a couple of seconds? Someone like Lulu makes that very possible.
Yeah, that is really interesting. I mean, you know they're picking a lot of dive here, right? Beatdown with the Nocturne and the Xin Zhao, but you're saying you're not going to be able to kill this Kog'Maw. And, well, even if you do, my Olaf and my set's going to be either peeling for me or diving your back line. So there's going to be no damage dealers left to win the fight for you if you find the Kog'Maw, which is a lot of cases, because as we get to the late game, I think it's been just so difficult to deal with, because the answer is like, how do you shut down a Kog'Maw composition? It's kill the Cog. But it's a lot easier said than done for us, Nathan, when we're talking about killing the Cog because of this Lulu, because of the shielding, because of the wild growth. It can be just so difficult to deal with overall.
Yeah, it honestly can be. Like you said, there's so much peel available. When you think about the set, the showstopper on Xin Zhao jumps in, well, now he's jumped out. And just like that, he's no longer a threat here. I think it's going to be really important for EGP to find some of these early leads. The thing that is a little tough, though, is who duels better than Olaf, Austin? That's kind of the question I always end up asking myself. And the answer is usually nobody. So EGP, they are going to need to get a little mixy in this early game, because as time goes on, I really worry about their chances versus Resolve's comp.
I love that you bring that up, because I don't really think there's too much that can beat it, because the lower you go, the more attack speed you get, and as long as you got that W up, you're just healing like crazy. So, I mean, it could be a really fun battle for the early stages when we're talking about the crabs. And, well, this is also Resolve we're talking about here, Beatdown, so we know Fnatic is like, I need the Scuttle Crab, and if I'm not getting the crabs, then it is a lane differential, and he is very vocal about that, and I'm sure it gets said plenty of times within the team.
Yeah, you're not wrong about that one. So it'll be really interesting to see how these early fights shake out. And to EGP's credit, they definitely still have some options should the game go to the later stages. When you think about someone like Ezreal, when you think about someone like Zoe, you do have a lot of ranged poke, you do have a lot of zone control. So if they play smart through vision, even in the later stages of the game, you can end up whittling down members of Resolve quite low before actually deciding to engage onto them here. The only big concern you have with that, though, is your vision game better be good, and it better be deep, because Aurelion Sol could come from across the map, and if you're not ready for it, well, it's done.
You really can, and I think like APA does this like really well, because the last time we did see his Aurelion Sol when he pulled it out, which I want to say was almost near the end of Cup at some point in time, or it might have been one of the playoff matches, but he actually like didn't roam for like the first 10 minutes of the game, and he was just like focused on lane. He would try to use Fog of War when he can, just to add that pressure in the back of the laners' minds on the side lanes, like, oh wait, all right, Aurelion Sol might be coming, we got to pay our respects, maybe back up defensively ward, and then he would just move him back to the mid lane, like, no, you're wasting your words, I'm not doing anything. But it's that constant thought, it's that what if, it's the what if he is roaming and the Aurelion Sol is flying on down, because it can happen extremely fast. So you mentioned the vision, very similar to how you play against TF. You have to look to set that up here. But the game plan, I'm really wondering, for you, Beatdown, before we get towards the game here, for EGP, affecting the Kog'Maw and making sure that he's not able to get to, a threshold of coming away with a couple of items, very much could be your goal here. And you have a lot of great tools if you can get a TP down here with the Nocturne or the Xin Zhao. So is that what you're focused on coming in here for EGP? Is it just to shut down this Kog'Maw lane, or are you looking at a different lane?
I think you do want to look to the bottom lane. I think even if you do put a lot of attention top set this set back behind, unintentional, but he's still going to be pretty effective as the peel tool because of the showstopper and stuff like we talked about here. You still have so much power as well with the roaming potential of the Aurelion Sol. I think the Kog'Maw is the one who you want to demolish. That's the thing here, Austin. And that's why I wouldn't be surprised to see a top buff start here for the side of EGP's jungler. Maybe just start working your way to the bottom side. As soon as you hit that level 3, Austin, just immediately start battering this Kog'Maw. Set him behind. Make the game unplayable. Make sure most of the damage that he's doing comes from that passive, if you know what I mean.
I hear what you're saying. I hear what you're saying for sure.
Picking up what I'm laying down?
I'm picking it up for sure. And
okay.
Yeah, I mean, it's just a matter of, can you execute on it? Because as much as it's like, all right, he's got no real way to escape other than flashing away, it's always that Lulu you do have to kind of worry about in the back of your mind, who's just sitting there, shielding, full health, like, oh, you're going to dive my Kog'Maw? Well, we're going to take down at least probably 2 with you if you're not executing this correctly. So, yeah, it should be good looks. We'll see how it does come on through here for us. Of course, just waiting to get in towards the game for now. But now that we do actually have, some of the champions that have come through here for the game number 1, and with the players that we've kind of already talked up as well, we talked about this mid matchup. We talked about APA going up against Aspect. Dilution got taken away, and this is something I think that he's been extremely comfortable on. But there's now a lot of, I guess, more intensity going in towards this mid lane matchup because of the champions that they're playing. Aurelion Sol wants to get the shove, wants to be able to roam, and wants to do things with Fnatic to create an early game lead. But the same could be said for Zoe, and the same could be said for what Aspect wants to do to make sure that the Xin Zhao is also applying pressure on the map, maybe even finding a lead on towards Olaf here. So what are your thoughts going in towards mid here? APA up against Aspect. It's a classic matchup, and now that we know the champions, is there any expectations here going into game 1?
Like, I'm really glad you brought that one up because we didn't get to touch on that during the draft. Yeah, like that's a really important factor here too, because again, I gotta imagine EGP are looking towards that bottom lane to be able to set them back on the side of Resolve. Make it so Array can't actually be that late game hyper carry. They're obviously looking to make him become. So the thing that I need to see from both of these mid laners is, like you said, trying to have a strong showing in that mid lane, try to get the push, and probably roam, because of course you're going to need to see some support for your Kog'Maw as well. We're going to imagine APA is going to be matching these roams from Aspect, but it just depends on that priority. If Aspect gets the moves first, they set up a good enough dive, and they start really laying on the pressure, EGP could find themselves a win here.
It's very possible. And while talking about the wins, both teams 1-0. Whoever takes this one would advance to the top of the group. And well, that is what it's all about here, ladies and gentlemen. If you're not familiar with the format, top 2 moving on, get yourself in towards playoffs, lock in, clinch a spot. That's what everyone wants to do. That is the goal for both of these squads. But Beatdown, we're getting ready. We've been talking a lot. I know it's our job, but now it's time to start talking about the game itself as we transition in here, ladies and gentlemen. You no longer have to span, why are the casters not starting the game? Because the game has started, baby. Let's get into it. Resolve up against EGP, game number 1.
I don't know how to break this to you, Austin, but I feel like it's mostly COD kids who blame casters for that sort of thing. I don't see a whole lot of that here in League of Legends. So
I wasn't looking. I was just assuming.
No, yeah, I'm not looking either. I just, sometimes I occasionally read Twitch chat. Sometimes. Oh, wait a minute.
Hello. That's a stun. That's like the whole map. And that will be Aspect just taking some damage. He's not worried. Nothing will really follow, but that's going to force out a back here, and maybe we'll give some early tempo to Resolve to move in for some wards.
Oh, they might be moving in for just a little bit more if they want to try and pressure on that top side of the map here. Living Evil, of course, is Surdy. Really like that name.
PCL now going to come right to the top lane. We mentioned this matchup. 2 great top laners looking to really be a pillar of support to make sure that neither is falling behind, because both of these champions really have that ability to break the game on open for us. But it is just completely calm since the level 1 stun that came up the mid lane, and now we'll see whether the junglers are going to start. I think this is something that we were curious about, especially knowing that Fnatic is playing the Olaf. This is something that, well, he's had a lot of experience playing overall for sure and is a comfort champion, but will be starting leashless on this blue buff, wants to try and make sure that the enemy team has no idea where he's going to be starting off. Meanwhile, Xin Zhao also doing the exact same thing.
Yeah, and this is kind of what we were talking about, what I was expecting here for these junglers. It is a top side start because both junglers have something very similar in mind. For Tomio, it is, I want to destroy this Kog'Maw, and it's for Fnatic is, I need to help my Kog'Maw, and that's why you're going to see a potential skirmish for this bottom Scuttle Crab, potentially an early level 3 gank, as we do often see on champions like the Xin Zhao. And it is looking like a 3 camp here, because he has skipped the Raptors and the Krugs, as Tomio, yeah, he's looking to do buff Gromp.
Really interesting, because Tomio, excellent jungler. We saw a lot of massive plays from him in the very first tier 2. But this is really greedy, ultimately, because you're banking on the fact that, all right, I'm going to get an early level 3, I'm going to be out in the map faster than Fnatic is, and I'm going to find some kind of an advantage in the lane. But the problem is that if it doesn't work, it feels like it hurts a lot, especially with a Xin Zhao that needs to try and stay even against a very aggressive Olaf that is being wielded here by Fnatic.
When it comes to power farming, Olaf has very few matches, so you got to imagine the thought process is, well, my bot lane's getting pushed in. This is as good a chance as any, and like you said, because he's going to get on the map first, Fnatic won't be able to properly respond, but it does look like that's not actually what they're looking for here. It looks like they did spot Fnatic on a board, so I think they're just deciding to continue clearing up. As Tomio, I guess, is just going to go back to pathing topside. It
was really close. I thought PCL maybe pulled him in the tower range. You might have seen some early level 1, or rather level 3 fighting, but we might see some fighting in the bot side. It's just going to be the crab priority good. Kog'Maw walks all the way up and places that ward. Array, you got to get yourself a pat on the back after that one. There's not too many 80 carries that would make their way out of the lane, walk into the opposing jungle, and drop a ward just so that your jungler can get the crab.
And you know what it is, too? It looks like, because they weren't sure where Fnatic starts, looks like Tomio decided to path topside when he saw Fnatic show up on the red. Didn't actually want to fight early on here for the Scuttle Crab, and now he's going to be able to full clear this topside. Do we see a gank come out from him towards the top lane, maybe to APA in the mid lane, or are we just going to see a quick reset for him to get his way back on the map and look for some opportunities there, as we got Dragon number 1 spawning in about a minute's time?
All right, we will be an Ocean Dragon that comes on up for us, and this interesting path from Tomio that I was not expecting would now get him to the top lane, where you actually have a nice push in coming on in. So this means that PCL could be in some trouble, has the flash, and this is where you might be looking for some trading if you are Surdy, but he's going to try to play this as safe as possible. Doesn't look like they want to set up for anything just in case maybe Fnatic is hugging and is in the brush, so they'll just simply reset here for us, beat down, no early action, just the trade of the crabs, and back to farming we go.
And it's true for both of these junglers here. It is looking like a farming angle, and although PCL is trying to get a little more aggressive trading here, nicely timed spell shield means that he's going to be just fine here for Surdy. The question is, can he get the bait, Austin? Fnatic's looking for something.
Yeah, he is. PCL's going to take a lot of damage, but he's going to flash on in. Beautiful face breaker. The kill is not traded. PCL just gets out with a sliver of HP, and well, that is good for first blood.
Well, it costs you 2 flashes, but you secure the kill and trade no gold in return, Austin. I think that's the best case scenario here. And PCL, he beautifully baits this play, and as soon as the fear tethers come through, Fnatic knows it's his time. Beautiful flash face breaker, and the flash for Fnatic just means it's an easily secured kill. I think the HP from the level up, Austin, is what allowed him to live there.
Oh, that's a feels bad if you're Sturdy, but it feels good if you're PCL. And now an advantage has been created on the map pretty early on. We mentioned how really big this top lane matchup could be, and now it's the chance for PCL to actually take it on over. Meanwhile, Tomio hasn't really been able to get a whole lot back. Maybe looking for a play, but isn't going to try to force anything. And while that happens, Fnatic, he wants to go looking in the jungle, but he also has an opportunity to come top lane. The ward is here. PCL has chunked him, and Surdy, well, no flash. He knows, or actually did keep his flash. Will have a chance maybe to get out of this. We'll see if he can. Has the fear that's going to come down. PCL, I don't think he can close the gap, and well played. Surdy does manage to get himself out.
Oh, yeah, really Thankful that he held on to that flash, and now he is going to be able to reset. The fact is, he shoved that wave in such a way, I think he might be able to just walk, or in his case, float his way back to the lane too, Austin. So holding on to that TP is going to be really important for both of these top laners. Again, you got to imagine it's just one waiting for the other to pull the trigger on the bottom side of the map. Problem is though, Surdy's playing Nocturne, Austin. If you get caught sleeping on a Nocturne ult and teleport, PCL is going to be extremely late to the party, so Resolve are going to have to be very wary of that as 30 reaches that level 6 mark.
And this Ocean Dragon still very much live on the map for us. Neither team really setting up any kind of vision around it as of just yet, but we might start to see that here from Winter as he's just peeking his nose in and around, seeing if something might be breaking on out that he wants to scout. As you see, Tomio still looking to make a play. We talk about Xin Zhao wanting to find some early favor, just as the Olaf has, but just hasn't exactly found the timing, nor have the waves really been set up for him to actually create any plays thus far.
And it's super unfortunate because we talked about how EGP did want to be making some of these early plays. Aspect, for example, doesn't seem like he's been able to leave lane so far. He's sitting on that teleport at the moment, so cross map is still available like we were talking about here, but so far nothing. Now level 6s are coming up across the board, though. Maybe this is where EGP do want to try and pick it up and make something happen. The question is, will it come through? We have Tomio on the top side of the map, hovering, looking for the bait, and with Fnatic walking away. That might finally be something.
Ooh, nice bubble there. Landed from Aspect,
Oh.
but PCL, if you're not careful, might be your life. Has the ultimate, but no flash, and Tomio's just waiting. Overstep. Do it. Do it, PCL. Please, let me get something on the map, and it looks like PCL is just going to hold his own. He knows that Fnatic isn't here just yet, so he's just going to back all the way up and catch the wave and try and freeze it.
Yeah, and it ends up being a really nice... so it's really nice that Surdy shoves this wave. Now we have the lane gank coming through, and Tomio's looking for it.
I don't think they're going to find the kill, but PCL does get chunked pretty hard. Fnatic, he goes towards the mid lane, and Aspect is actually forced to flash away. So they get a summoner on the mid lane, and PCL will hold his life.
And that's really important too. Isn't even going to have to reset really because there isn't as much of the dive there with that showstopper being available. So now you just have Surdy walking his way down here. Teleport's still available, but we're going to see Aspect expend it to move to that mid lane here. So far, EGP, they've given us a couple looks, Austin. They've been trying some things out, but so far, none has been successful. And honestly, since that first kill on the Fnatic, we haven't seen too much out of Resolve either.
Oh, and this is where the bot lane starts to be so difficult to deal with. You can't trade with the Kog'Maw anymore. Nope. Level 6 is in, and they will just run you down if you decide to do that. Meanwhile, Fnatic is going to use that bot lane priority that has pretty much been in favor of Resolve this entire game, and that will result in an Ocean Dragon. But it will cost PCL a bit of XP and gold. He's not sure if they're looking to make a counterplay, so he's going to pay his respects and make sure that he will hold on and not give up his life for free, but now feels confident to walk back up.
That's pretty wise. He's been playing this one pretty well, considering not a whole lot of jungle attention since that first gank not a little while ago here, Austin. And now PCL, he's been almost having that sixth sense, being like, no, this doesn't feel like the safe time for me to aggress. And so far hasn't died because of that. And especially when you know the Rift Herald's going down, he's like, okay, I obviously can't be here, so I'm going to take a couple steps back. Now that Tomio has gone for the reset, what is he going to be able to find? You already talked about it. Bot has pretty much moving towards that state of being unplayable for Shoryu and Skytech here. So where can Tomio try and make things happen? APAce is very safe in the mid lane as well. Top, it's really hard to kill PCL unless you get the drop on him, but even now, he has his flash back up. So what are your options really if you're Tomio?
It feels like not a whole lot. APA, constant pressure, you talked about it, becoming difficult in Fnatic. Well, he might meet Tomio in the jungle as he comes over, just waiting, and he doesn't know that he's spotted, of course. Even Skytech has walked here, maybe? I guess now he's going to know. And, well, he doesn't flash right away. There it is. The Ragnarok is going to have to come out, followed up there by the flash. So a couple of key cooldowns were just used there for Fnatic to get out with his life.
The flash is, I think, what really hurts the most, because if we think about the Ragnarok cooldown, it's not too long. We're minutes away from the next Rift Herald. We're minutes away from Dragon number 2 here, so I think it's not too bad here if you are Fnatic. But hey, Olaf flash being down, do you have in this short amount of time before Ragnarok comes back? Do you have a play in you So far, it's just been the power farming game here, Austin, for the side of EGP. And I'm afraid if they play that game, it's not one they can actually win against, well, Lulu Cog. I mean, look at this.
Yeah. It's just, I mean, it's unfortunate for SkyTech because we highlighted this player as someone who will look and find the engages, but you can't really do it in the 2 versus 2. You need some kind of a numbers advantage, or you need to wait till at least some team fights full-on breakout where you can set up that play. So for now, it really has been the farm game, and well, got to give some credit to Shoryu. He does have a slight advantage here, but the trades, as you can see, do not go in their favor as you just get completely stat checked, and you're just throwing out the ultimate just to get something back. But man, it is just so oppressive beatdown.
Yeah, this is tough. You think about the fact that you still lose out on that trade, even with the ultimate, even with the HP you're getting from leveling up, and Lulu has an ulti yet. Winter's still holding on to that wild growth, so you know, as much as you may want to fight Shoryu and SkyTech, excuse me, they need to hang tight for just a little while here as they continue to farm up. They gotta wait for another laner to come through, perhaps the jungler in Tomio, but so far, Austin, we just keep on waiting. It hasn't happened yet.
Everything is just calm, cool, and collected in this game number 1. And not what we always see from Resolve, but they know that they can scale and have built themselves up a 500 goal lead from essentially, what is that, first blood and some slight CS leads through mid. So that's kind of playing the factor overall, but not too bad for EGP either. They're waiting, biding their time, have some key cooldowns coming on up here that they can look to utilize for this dragon fight. That's going to be about 1:20. Have to imagine both teams would want a piece of this mountain drag, but at the same time, they might look to give it over. That bot lane priority has been resolved, and this is when we're going to be looking for some of those back timers to come on in, as well as some of these TPs. PCL is going to have his TP up very, very soon, and should be up here for this drag fight as well.
Yeah, but perhaps he's just walking his way down here, Austin. He might be looking for a play mid, but that turret in the top lane is pretty low on plates. You leave for too long, and certainly might get that first turret gold in his favor. And I mean, with the Rift Herald coming through, Austin,
Wow,
I think that's all but guaranteed at this point here. So I like that. They do notice PCL is not in the area. They can drop the Herald and guarantee the turret drop, which is going to be a really nice injection of gold here for Surdy. So far, still no real plays being made here. Finally, it looks like Shoryu and SkyTech are getting the better of Array and Winter. They are forcing them out of lane at the moment here, but man, this has been a slow one.
Yeah, it has been slow, but I do like the back timing that's coming on in. They're actually going to lose just about a full wave of minions for the bot lane on Resolve, and that is going to be, a nice advantage that you get. Everyone's coming back out on the map, but neither team is actually really positioned around the dragon. Fnatic is finally making his way over, and I mean, I don't know about you, Beatdown, but I would not want a Lulu nor a Olaf to start stacking dragons this early in towards the game. No. And then, of course, late the Kog'Maw really starts dishing out that much more damage here, depending on what we do get for ourselves. But everyone does manage to get here in time. Their vision control is holding strong at the moment, though, for EGP.
And here's where the poke is going to come through for the side of EGP. As soon as Shoryu is in the area, he has finished the Divine Sunderer, so those Mystic shots are going to pack a punch. Question is, though, you got to start landing some of this poke, the Mystic shots, things like the Paddle Stars. You can see Aspect is looking for them here, but they're not quite low enough. Not quite enough for the fight here, but Tomio is clearly looking, and it looks like Fnatic just might give up this drag.
This is, one of those aspects we talked about with this composition for EGP is the fact that they have a lot of poke. They can keep you from funneling into the river if you come through the choke points, and that means that the dragon is secured. Very well done for EGP. They came out ahead not only with the dragon, but also denying a lot of resources in the lanes on the map here, so it's a big win to pick up.
Sure is. You do stall the soul that Resolve we're going to stack themselves towards here, Austin. But I think we got to give a little bit of props to Resolve for just the composure, the discipline there to not try and go for it. Like, this is a team where people would always talk about how, hey, they'll just flip fights anytime they can. And that's a coin flip opportunity right there if I ever saw one. But Resolve don't take it. They back off. They know they scale really well, and they just start mixing up the lane assignments here, and they're fine with it. They will let go of this drag because they believe they will get more of them, and they know they'll be stronger as time goes on.
And what's interesting, just to add on to that, is that we saw a lot of that actually happen in the wild card red semifinal that happened, right? Where we looked at that first game, we're like, wait, Resolve is like only gotten a couple of kills, like we're like 20 minutes into this, like are they feeling okay? Like what is going on? We were like questioning some things, but you do bring up that point where it's like they do realize where, you know, we can actually play a little bit slower. We don't have to force, which was just something we saw a lot of before this team was, of course, formed and taken over from, I believe, Barrage previously. So this has been very well done, I mean, across the board for as far as what they've been able to do. But that also said, we have seen EGP work themselves back in towards the game. Now it is actually a goal lead in their favor. They have collected a dragon. So as much as Resolve are playing patient, we are still seeing EGP play this game with them. And at the moment, they seem to be okay with it.
And with EGP, like they reach a lot of pretty key spikes here. If you look across the board, the mythics have all come through, especially for the likes of Aspect and Shoryu, who one item spike are really nice for their respective champions here. So they do have to be careful on the side of Resolve. They don't want to take fights that they are unsure of. And with nothing really on the board in terms of neutral objectives, they are just looking to farm. Austin, no one is looking for a fight here in Array. He's just looking to farm. But of course, Zoe from 2 screens away says, that costs you 50% of your health.
I've actually dealt with the Kog'Maw quite well as we've gotten in the mid lane, and well, that second Rift Herald will be dropped down.
Love it.
And that should be the tower for sure. Shelly comes charging on up. Boom goes the tower, and that's going to open up the map so much more. You've already taken down the top lane tower. You've now just taken down the mid lane tower. The charge even goes off onto the tier 2, so nice small win for EGP. As PCL might be in trouble. The flash is going to come out immediately, but it will be followed. No support for PCL. Might have to take the 1 versus 1, but it's not a 1v1 anymore as we see the paranoia come through. PCL will go down, and it's Aspect of all people that will claim the kill.
Oh, happy to take that one with not as much participation as one would expect, but really nice punish onto PCL, who was out on his own on the island here as we take a look at this replay. Yeah, like this, nobody's on the map. You can see it on the mini-map. It's all dark. He wants to clear the ward, but as soon as Tomio is showing up, he realizes, I have made a grave error, and not even the flash is going to be able to save him here. And to make matters worse, look at Surdy. As soon as he was in range, he just flies right in. And to make matters worse, Aspect came and stole the kill. That monster.
Oh, absolute monster. I mean, he landed the skill shot, so I'm like, also like,
okay,
damn, nice job, but also like, damn, you stole the kill, man. Like,
I know. How much work they put into it.
Unbelievable, but hey, I guess if there's one person you probably wanted to have the gold, it might be Aspect, to be fair.
You know what? You got a point there.
Either way, we got another kill, a second kill of the game as we almost get to about that 20-minute mark. That's when the Baron will be back on the map, but before that happens, we will have our 3rd dragon, and from here on out, they will be clouds. So we got a minute 10 on that, and we'll see how much preparation both teams are looking to put into the river before it spawns.
And at the moment, with these top and mid inner towers taken off of the map here, it does bode well for EGP to start some of this dragon stacking here. Now they can start pushing for these deeper pockets of vision inside of Resolve's jungle here. And at the moment, it looks like Resolve are really focused on trying to get some of the standing gold that's available to them here. This turret in the top lane is low enough that APA is like, okay, let me get some of this gold here. And so much so that Fnatic is shadowing just to make sure they can secure this. They're not thinking about this next dragon as it's 30 seconds away, and more than half of Resolve are on the top side of the map.
Well, that is the second tower secured for Resolve. APA gonna push all the way up, and will this really be recognized for Surdy? It will now, but Winter also here for assistance, just in case a fight does break out. Meanwhile, the mid lane, it looks like there is a push starting to unfold. Shelly got that second charge off, so that tier 2 in the mid lane is extremely low. Shoryu wants to deal with it and will do so. So it will just be a trade of towers, a tier 2 in the top lane for a tier 2 in the mid lane.
Yeah, and it's tough. Resolve trying to get whatever gold they can, but EGP are trading it very, very well. They immediately move towards that mid-tier 2. You have Aspect on the bottom side taking this tier 1 as well because, well, it's very clear how safe he is from what we just saw transpire over the last 30 seconds or so. So it's going to be an easy dragon. That's 2 turrets realistically for the price of 1 here, Austin. So Resolve are losing out on these trades, and this gold lead is starting to grow in EGP's favor.
Well, everyone likes a nice firm handshake. I should say maybe most people do, and that's exactly what we're getting, at least at the moment. Both teams really just handing off either side of the map, but finally our first team fight breaks out. Kog'Maw immediately will be hit with a wild growth, and they will find the first one of the fight. They have to kite back. The tower could be an issue as Tomio has to invest the ultimate. So we get ourselves a kill, and it will only be one over to Resolve.
Insanely well-timed TP for PCL. Got there just in the nick of time, and Surdy just got blown up. Look at Array's HP. The dude has not even been touched, and we talked about it. In these team fights, he's the one you gotta be able to get on top of, and if you can't chip away at his HP, Austin, well, that's what we call a doomer.
we do, and well, that's the first fight that breaks out. Not as explosive as I was expecting it to be, but in the end, it's a kill, and it is another one here for Resolve, trying to climb back, fight back, take that goal lead for themselves here as they're still down about 500. But it is back to farming. It's back to pushing out the side lanes. No one wants to fight anything they do not have to.
No, certainly not. Resolve are happy to take that kill and walk away and continue back to the farming. And it does look like Resolve, at least, do love a firm handshake, Austin, because, I mean, they're just right back to the handshake farming here going on. Everybody to their respective lane assignments. And, of course, like you said, there isn't a whole lot to fight for. I can't imagine either team are going to force the Baron unless somebody shows up on vision on the opposite end of the map, maybe. But I sincerely doubt we're going to see something like that come through. It's just all about whatever deep vision you can get, as much information as you can secure. And it's mostly going to be Surdy, in my opinion, trying to look for some of these plays in the side lane, like what happened to PCL a couple of minutes ago. Someone from Resolve step a little too far, Austin. Well, we have Surdy flying in as the position police.
Yeah, and I will say it's actually a really big deal now that EGP did actually collect both of those two towers in the mid lane, because you're seeing it at the moment where, Array is essentially just forced all the way back, right? You don't have that security of the tower behind you, and the Lulu wasn't with him either, so he just has to get off the map. Meanwhile, you can just put Shoyu in the mid lane. He has that arcane shift, he has that flash, and he has that mid lane tower, and that's really been the big staple here for EGP as they have controlled a huge part of the tempo. 23 minutes into game number 1. But the Baron, of course, is live. The vision has been set up beautifully, I will add, for the side of EGP, as they've just been moving on up, taking the mid lane priority, and just keeping Resolve on their toes. And whether or not, hey, are we starting the Baron up? Well, you don't know.
Well, you say that, but APA, PCL are going to show on the bottom side of the map, and you can already see EGP using that to just set up all this deep vision like you're talking about, Austin. Now they can move deeper. Now they have a timer on that blue buff, so that's something that Tomio can look to take away as well. And on top of that, look at where Aspect is on the map. He has his jungler nearby. He knows he can continue to shove this top wave. So Resolve are going to use this pressure that they have in the topside jungle to finally take down this mid-tier one. And I think this is still really big for Resolve, because now they can push out this mid wave just a bit further.
Yes.
Now it opens up the opportunity for them to set up some of that deep vision we've seen EGP lay out the last couple of minutes.
Resets will be taken right before our 4th dragon comes in. EGP would love to pick it up. Not only would it put them on soul point, but stacking up these Cloud Drakes is pretty good when you're talking about a Paranoia, talking about a True-Shot Barrage that's coming on out. I mean, a lot of different options here, even the quickness with the Rakan. So we'll see if they'll be able to claim this one as well. I will say EGP has been on top of setting up for the objectives first, and Resolve has been slightly behind for getting back out on towards the map at the correct time. They have now done so, but they have Kog'Maw in the top lane, so it's really difficult to contest a lot of this, and this is where we start to see that Zoe, that Ezreal, really have a lot of value before those fights break out, where they're just stopping you from moving in, and now they decide to make the play. A lot of damage comes through. The True Shot Barrage finds 3 members, but no one dies just yet. Fnatic forced to flash away as APA will go into the stasis, but Aspect finds Winter. They'll find a second. It's a double for Aspect as Shoryu comes through with his jungler, and Tomio will find Array. A beautiful 3-for-0 with PCL. He comes in, tries to make the miracle play, however, can only get himself one back.
I think that's still actually really big from PCL, because the thing we see that happens there is you secure yourselves 2 kills. You also get these HP bars very low. You know what that means, Austin? You can't run to the Baron for EGP, and we're going to see this fight come through. You see APA and Fnatic on their own. That's the go button here for Surdy, who immediately jumps in, backed up by that True Shot Barrage. In this tiny choke, it's so easy for Skytech to get that knock-up. And just look at what happens here. Even though Surdy backs away, so many full HP bars on the side of EGP. They just walk right in. They do so much damage. The only thing they really have to worry about is the set. We got to keep an eye on PCL at this point in the fight, who is just moving up here. And he is the saving grace because he manages to pick up some of these kills. That's why you don't see the Baron really coming through. And actually, if you look on the bottom left of your screen, everybody, this gave the opportunity. Now, Resolve can try and make a push for this Baron.
They're trying to send it right now. Forest beat down. It's a matter of will it actually work out? And, well, as we turn our attention back to the live gameplay, they have been pushed off of it. And that means that we'll likely see EGP move through, take all that vision right back out, and place them with their own.
Well, you do. Okay, the Force is still good, though, because you get 2 TPs out from EGP. You get Surdies, you get Aspects, so that's still a win. You get another opportunity like that. You catch them on the reset. That's a secured Baron in your favor. But here's the problem you're dealing with now if you're Resolve. EGP are its sole point. Resolve got Dragon #1 and never managed to pick up a single other one here. They haven't been pulling the trigger very much in some of these fights either. It's always Surdy, funny enough, diving in, setting up these openings here for EGP. And unless Resolve can find a good fight, really find a way to get themselves back into the game, it just feels like a slow bleed out because we're at 27 minutes here, only 9 kills between both of these teams. But as time goes on at this pace, EGP are on pace to win.
They have been solid in these fights. The poke before the fights, the engages, 30, followed by Tomio. They go in, and, well, they've been able to find a Ray now a couple of times. And if you're Resolved, that Kog'Maw's got to stay alive if you're going to win. And PCL actually comes in to TP top. So we have no teleports on the map. It'll simply just be a back away for EGP. They're like, all right, you want to invest the TP? We want none of it. We're just going to back up and make sure that we do not gift you guys any free kills.
And they basically do the same thing. They try and force a Baron start, get PCL's TP. Now they don't have to worry as much about these cross-map plays. And like you said, no teleports are up. So the only cross-map plays happening for the next few minutes are going to be the one and only Surdy flying in with the Paranoia. So now Resolve have to keep that in mind, have to play quite carefully, and got to make sure they clear out some of this vision on their side of the jungle. Because at this point, EGP are strong, Austin. If they find the right opportunity, they can dive, and they can dive deep.
Yeah, you know how they're strong? They're strong because Surdy right now is 0-2-3, and he has a 200 gold bounty. That says it all, I feel like. When you start to see champions who have no kills, a couple assists, and a few deaths, and they have a bounty, then yeah things have been going pretty good overall.
Look
but
at CS.
It's very, very nice. 280. It's actually just on par for perfect here. Very nicely done here for Surdy. And he's also been setting up the engages and taking the time to wait for mispositions. So it's not like he's only been in the side lane here. But hello. That's a stun and a half. Will it find anyone? Maybe. No, it won't. Won't hold on to it. Would have maybe just found Skytech, but he's just going to have to back away for now. And that means that the mid lane priority is gifted over towards Resolve. They will be able to move on through, clear up that vision, and they're actually going to start it. There is a pink ward here, so not sure if they're trying to just force the 4v5. Zoe is not in here just yet. Tomio, though, he has stolen Barons, and can he do it again? Oh, it's so beautiful! He does still get in, but it's going to be secured for Fnatic. It's still Tomio in the pit, but he's able to buy a lot of time over Fnatic. APA, they will find 2 kills. They start the Baron, they finish it, and they get out with extra.
Fnatic doesn't miss those. Manages to, despite Tomio's best efforts to get into the pick, secure the smite, secure the Baron. Watch PCL here. Really good foresight. As soon as he sees the W come out from the Xin Zhao, he flashes over and uses the showstopper. But because of that extended range on the Audacious Charge, he finds his way in. But you know what? It doesn't matter. Fnatic gets the smite, and they secure the kill because it's 2 versus 5 in that pit. Chorio cannot do anything about it.
If he stole that Baron, despite PCL playing that as well as he did, and really Resolve as a whole playing that as well as he did, yeah, I would probably have to walk away from the setup because I just don't know how he finds these angles and gets this close. It's quite sick, but hey, still goes over. Fnatic locking down the smites. Solid. And now, well, all that tempo that has been in control of EGP has just shifted over to Resolve, and they can also maybe start coming back in towards the river here. It feels like that hasn't been allowed for a very long time, and now they're finally able to do it.
You can see it now, no Baron on the map because they have the buff, and now they can start to make the play for the Dragon here. And I like this. Okay, there's a lot of things that I like here. Resolve are cutting the wave because EGP know they can't walk into the pit, and they're trying to shove out this wave as much as they can. Resolve respond by clearing up this
Wow.
wave, and instead they're just going for the base,
So good.
Austin.
So good. They have the Baron. I mean, this has got to be an
Yeah.
inhibitor. It's just all 5 members are here. They have been out macroed. Ankles have been
Beautiful.
broken. Take them to the hospital because that is just absolutely disgusting. Shoryu was just going to send it and say, listen, they made the top play. I'm going to try and take the dragon. But Shoryu, I don't know if you get here in time. APA is in and he takes it away. Shoryu has bit off more than he can chew, and the shutdown is even secured. APA will just dismantle Shoryu.
Absolutely exquisite macro coming out from Resolve, and their AD carry is down. If Surly doesn't flash there, that could be very problematic, GA or not. But now you have the 5v4, Austin. Resolve are built to team fight. They have the Baron buff in tow. This could be the end of game 1. They're looking for it.
It might be. Can they hold? 20 seconds on Shoryu, but the Baron is too strong. That's Fnatic at the front line trying to come away with some kills. That will be the showstopper in the back, but it's APA finds one. PCO gets the second, and it's all Resolve, baby. They come through with the fight. They clean it up with ease, and the Nexus will go down.
No one plays the patient game better than Resolve, it looks like, because after a slow early game, Snail's Face to the point where we questioned if we were watching the same team that we knew from last split. No, Austin, they know how to play it slow. They know how to wait for their opportunities. And between that and some insane macro coming out towards the end of the game, Resolve earned themselves that game 1, and it is well deserved.
Oh, very well deserved. I mean, the fact that they fight back into that, they know how to set up the macro in the late game. This is improvement. This is not the same Resolve team that we've seen from the first tier 2, where, as you said, it's not fight, go, flip the coin, see if we win it. It's slow, calm, patience. They know how to work the map, and they just worked it so well. I mean, I really wasn't joking when I said ankles were broken. Quite literally, they were. When they moved to that top lane, they've already lost it. They're there to catch the wave, and it's like desperation. Let's try to take away the dragon and get us a soul. And then APA says, no, I don't think so, sure you. My smites are better than yours, even without the summoner. Gets there, finds the kill, and from there, well, it's just so difficult. But yeah, you got to give some credit to the squad who has now showed us a different play style and has actually been able to execute on it.
And I'm glad you brought that one up, because like there's a lot of things we can praise Resolve for in that game, but I think it's that just snap judgment in the later stages of the game that we were questioning going into this series immediately. Like I said, it even threw me for a loop because so much happened at once in that instant. They immediately think, okay, we lost the dragon. Let's push this for the side of EGP. And immediately Resolve read that, okay, we're just going to take your inhibitor. And they end up securing the dragon for themselves too. And I think at that point, that's when we knew it was over. They knew their win conditions, and they played so disciplined towards them. A couple of hiccups, few setbacks. But at the end of the day, Austin, when it came to team fights, they played the comp well, and that's what they wanted.
And the big changeup was they stopped letting Surdy find these engages. And I think that was one of the keys, because every single fight that, was lining up here for us, it was always because the poke was coming in first there for EGP. They would set it up very nicely. And then that would be followed up by the Surdy engage, who just waited to move in. And then once they moved in, it felt like they were able to find the correct fights, win out on the team fights, and find themselves a lead. So it just really felt like, because of that mid lane fight that had went their way just about halfway through there for the side of EGP, I thought that was the moment that they would start to take over. But it almost felt like from that moment on, that's when Resolve just felt like they were more comfortable, oddly enough, after losing that fight and going further down in the deficit for as far as the gold, because of the way they worked the map. So yeah, you got to give a lot of credit to these guys. But EGP, I don't think you can be overly frustrated with that. That is just a couple of key mistakes where you're trying to base race Baron, and well, that's never going to work, right? You're never going to be able to outpush in those lanes unless you just have a massive advantage being there way before your opponents are. But I mean, they took that battle, and well, of course they will lose it and learn from it, I'm sure.
Of course, there's still a couple of games that potentially left in this series here. I do firmly believe this one will be going the distance, so I'm really excited to see how EGP are going to bounce back from this one, whether it's draft, whether it's how they play things in game. Because the most interesting thing to me that we talked about, Austin, in the draft, when we see Xin Zhao, when we see early
Yeah.
pathing like Buff Gromp coming out from Tomio, I'm like, okay, level 3 play bot side. Let me see what's going on here. And I understand why he walks away in that scenario and continues to clear, but it's tough. Olaf is one of those champions where, of course, you want to play the early game, you want to try and get the snowball lead, but dude, Xin Zhao is just like that, if not maybe a little bit worse, with how badly you need to snowball here, and we didn't see that.
We didn't see it. It was just slightly behind, and of course it ends up costing them the very first game. But ladies and gentlemen, good news. It's a best of 3. There is still a chance for recovery to come on in here. It's just a matter of, can they actually do it? Can they bounce back against a draft that was a little bit different from what we've seen from this Resolve roster, but very well put together, very well done as we got later and later into it. And now you have to kind of have that, that conversation of, do we want to draft something early again, see if we can catch them off guard with some of these early advantages, or do we want to opt into something like they did, and that's just actually draft for late and see if you can maybe win out on the games like that? These are kind of the questions we start throwing around before going in towards game 2. But ladies and gentlemen, I believe we are now going to throw things to a break. That was just the very first game for us in this best of 3. This one might just go the distance. You're going to have to find out. Game 2 will be coming up here very shortly, but first we're going to have our break in a few minutes. Don't go anywhere.
Trading here, nicely timed spell shield means that he's going to be just fine here for Surdy. The question is, can he get the bait, Austin? Fnatic's looking for something.
Yeah, he is. PCL's going to take a lot of damage, but he's going to flash on in. Beautiful face breaker. The stopping you from moving in, and now they decide to make the play. A lot of damage comes through. The True Shot Barrage finds 3 members, but no one dies just yet. Fnatic forced to flash away as APA will go into the stasis, but Aspect finds Winter. They'll find a second. It's a double for Aspect as Shoryu comes through with his jungler, and Tomio will find Array. A beautiful 3-for-0 with PCL. Force the 4v5. Zoe is not in here just yet. Tomio, though, he has stolen Barons, and can he do it again? Oh, it's so beautiful. He does still get in, but it's going to be secured for Fnatic. It's still Tomio in the pit, but he's able to buy a lot of time over Fnatic. And he'll get here in time. APA is in, and he takes it away. Shoryu has bit off more than he can.
Game 1, they're looking for it.
It might be. Can they hold? 20 seconds on Shoryu, but the Baron is too strong. That's Fnatic at the front line trying to come away with some kills. That will be the showstopper in the back, but as APA finds one, PCO gets the second, and it's all resolved, baby. They come through with the fight. They clean it up with ease, and the Nexus will go down.
No one plays the patient game better than Resolve, it looks like, because after a slow early game, to the point where we questioned if we were
And it was slow, it was clean, although sometimes a little bit back and forth, but with only a 2,000 goal lead, resolved to game number 1 against EGP. Welcome back to this, everybody, yet again with Ravage, MLBD, and Manny Sanchez. You all saw the game just like we did, but maybe you didn't see a couple of things. So, Manny, let's talk a little bit about that slow, methodical play we saw from Resolve.
Yeah, and Resolve, they were able to basically play out the game exactly how you would want for this type of composition early game, right? You see the Cog, you see the Lulu, you're like, okay, this team wants to play slow. They want to scale up. They want to basically just do nothing in the early game, and the longer that lasts, the better it is, for their team. And they were able to largely do that, right? They sacked PCL in the top lane, but all Surdy really got was, I believe he was like 0-2-1, right? He got a bit of a CS lead, he got some towers. That's really it, right? But then you're like, okay, things are looking a little rough for EG. But then there's they start to turn it around, and you're like, oh, are we a little bit worried here? And there's this mid game team fight as well. If we can get into that, and basically what happens here is you think that Resolve are just going to turn this, but there's a phenomenal engage here from Skytech on the
Oh, so good.
Really, really great. And then after this, Tomio is able to just basically run in and start destroying everyone. There's a great paddle star from Aspect on the back end. PCL, Aspect kind of misplays this a little bit, just gets killed by PCL. But it really doesn't matter in the grand scheme of the team fight. It's a big win for EGP, and you're like, oh, maybe EGP are going to come back. But that is when Dylan's, I guess, point comes in.
Yeah, looking at the Aurelion Sol this game, we actually have the scouting report brought to you by U.GG, and in today's show, we're going to focus on the Aurelion Sol. This is something that anybody who watches Amateur, they're going to be very familiar with. As we can see here, I mean, Aurelion Sol is something, he actually has the highest win rate out of any champion in the entire game, which is something I didn't personally know. I knew it was up there, but I didn't know it was 54%. But let's put that into a little bit of context. He has 0.9% pick rate, which is a little bit under 16,000 matches, right? So if we actually look at that and put it into context, there are more games on Vel'Koz mid, Set mid, Nico mid, and Renekton mid than there are on Aurelion Sol mid. And he barely beats out picks like Malphite. So, I mean, there are more people. Not a lot of people play Aurelion Sol. It's safe to say that of those 16,000 games, probably half of them are APA on his various, high elo accounts. But he was actually able to put in so much work. And we see why Aurelion Sol has such a good win rate, because people don't know what to do against it. We have a couple of replays here of APA in this game specifically, but he was playing so well. He was playing absolutely phenomenal on this champion. We saw the little level 1 cheese here. If there's something like a Blitzcrank or a Thresh or a Nautilus, that's a kill on Aspect. That's a flash burnt on Aspect at the very least. Gets the little cheeky dragon steal at the end. Like tongue-in-cheek almost, salt in the wound. But it was such a good game from APA. And it's exactly what I've been saying on all the various desks and shows I've been on. He needs to go back to comfort, because when he's on picks like Aurelion Sol, even if he's not moving around a ton in the early game, he's just so good later on.
That right there, that little dragon steal near to the end hurt my heart. Like, absolutely. If I'm Ezreal there, I'm spending 10 minutes of my time taking that dragon. Instead of APA just waltz in like, and then immediately just take it all in front of me. But like we were saying here, Dylan, absolutely phenomenal stuff by him. We do want to give another big shout out to U.GG to have sponsored that segment. Remember here, friend, only U.GG has the profiles with your LP per game. The site with the best data for builds and runes now has the best data for profiles. So y'all make sure to check out U.GG for your builds, profiles, and more. Now, about like you were all saying, man, it's becoming closer and closer as you go along throughout the entire game. And of course, the APA on this comfort as well. I can't imagine they let them get that going into the next game. But yeah. Dylan, coming to you on this one here real quick. Your prediction's looking a little bit in danger, or should I say tanked?
Well, I was really not expecting APA to whip out the Aurelion Sol. I think he saw that I predicted 2-0, and he knew that, he had to stick it to me a little bit. I expect A-Sol to be banned in the next game. I feel like some of these amateur teams have a little bit of an ego when it comes to banning these, pocket picks. But I feel like Ito and the side of EGP, they're going to respect it. They're going to get rid of it. And I think Manny will be right with the 2-1 prediction.
Wow. Okay, respect, but man, are you still holding strong in yours, or because I don't know, I'm feeling really good right now, guys. I don't know about y'all.
There's still hope. Like I said, I took 2-1 for a reason, and that's because it's easier to be right. So,
You know what? Yeah, I respect it, man. You still saying true to your words, man. But yet again, let me remind you, although I took that fat L yesterday, getting almost everything wrong, today, like, my 2-0 is looking to be real clean, and I know the boys are resolved, like, gonna possibly take it home for me as well. So I'm not worried. I think it's gonna be a-okay. But they're definitely need to ban out APA, or should I really say or should I say ASA, that being, Aurelian Soul, always. But no, okay, that's fine.
Boo.
We're going to throw it over for our casters, Beatdown Boulevard and Visions to get some game number 2, guys. Production, please. I can't anymore. It's painful. This is... Just leave me out of here to dry. Production? Okay. Cool. Thanks, guys. That's fine. Oh, wait. I actually don't want to say anything at all. Guys, you know what?
We're stuck.
This is off.
Well, hopefully Ravish does not have to cry, because that wouldn't feel very good, would it? But either way, we're back. That was a great segment right there. And well, if you're just tuning in, ladies and gentlemen, welcome, because this is game number 2 between Resolve and EGP. That first game locked in, Resolve just able to rely on the late game Kog'Maw Lulu. It came to life there for them, beats down, and in the end, they're able to execute for us.
And part of that is just really smart play coming out from them as well, too. And you kind of mentioned it when the last time you and I saw the Aurelian Soul come out from APA. Not a whole lot of roams earlier on, but as we got into the later stages of the game, especially setting up these team fights with that very big cross-map stun coming through, he was able to be very effective, and Resolve as a whole managed to play the map very well and towards their 5v5 composition here. They played it front to back, and even though there were very few fights, the fights where they got to play front to back, they came out on top. And that's all they really needed to do, because we saw them finally secure that win there in the end.
We did. We saw them secure the win. And this is where we start to have that conversation. What are we going to see that's different going in towards game number 2 here for us? Because it didn't really didn't feel like the Xin Zhao was totally comfortable for Tomio. He wasn't able to find a whole lot of ganks, and it did feel like it was more of a takeaway to make sure that it wasn't Resolve getting the Lulu and the Xin Zhao, right? I think that was one of the key factors on why they picked it there on the very first pick coming in towards the first phase. So we'll see if maybe that changes up. Will they get something a little bit more comfortable here for them coming in towards the game number 2? Because that was just a really interesting game for the simple fact that I don't think that's how a lot of people expected it to go, where Resolve was just okay giving over dragons. They're okay playing the slow scaling game and using their macro to their advantage, which is just something we haven't seen. And now EGP, knowing that in the back of their heads, are of course going to have to be ready and prepped for it for this game 2, and even, well, the rest of the series if they're able to push it to a game 3.
And you talk about what we're going to see going into this draft, into this game, Austin, and it's already been highlighted on the desk by Dylan. Probably going to ban away that Aurelian Soul. I think so. That's usually how it goes, and why I love players who have those pocket pits, especially in best of 3 formats. Like, you let it go through game 1. Well, guess what? Now you have to start including the ban of it into your strategies going into the further games. It's one less ban you got to worry about here. So Resolve, who are staying on the blue side, well, that's probably one less power pick we are going to see taken away from them as a result of ASOL needing to be getting rid of.
I would expect that to come through. We'll see if that is the plan overall. Resolve will be on the blue side again. I have to imagine a lot of their bans would probably fall in line with what they did in the first game. So the Lucian will be removed. Make sure Aspect doesn't have that. And so far, Evil Genius Prodigies will also opt into the same ban phase here, as they will remove the Karma.
Yeah, so although the hovers, they're definitely mixing it up with those. I imagine it is going to be pretty much the same as before earlier on. The question now I want to know from EGP, are they going to take away the Lulu? Because more than anything else, you did have to take away the Xin Zhao, but they got the next best thing in Olaf, and you really got to just go for the root cause of your problems here, and it's that Lulu.
Lulu certainly was, and well, once you take away the Lulu, you can kind of usually take out the Kog'Maw as well, unless they want to throw in a different enchanter with it. But we will see the Gwen, champion that has also been pretty much, pick or ban for sure, will be removed. Hovering the Kazakhs, can't imagine a Kazakhs ban is going to come on through. They'll go through a couple of them here for us, beat down, make us him and Ha, but overall might just be a standard one from the first phase that we saw in game 1.
I don't know. Maybe this time for real they do ban the Mundo.
Maybe.
Just maybe. I like the big thing for me. EGP's R3 ban. Are you gonna ban Lulu? That's the question. Yes, we're gonna hover Kha'Zix. Ha ha ha. We're so funny. But the Lulu. That's gonna be the big thing. Because if they don't take it away, that tells me they aren't concerned with Resolve picking it up right off the bat. And if that's the case, what's the answer that they've come up with? I guess the answer is ban Lulu.
Well, Lee Sin is available now. That, I do believe, was the last ban in the first game here for Evil Genius Prodigies. So you could look at grabbing yourself the Lee Sin, could look at having, a complete pick on any jungler that you would like to bring on through. So there are certainly options now for Resolve.
Sure, so surely. Definitely could be a really strong flex in something like that Lee Sin. Instead, they are going to grab the set. Course, multiple lanes possible. PCL had a great performance in game 1 as well, so wouldn't be surprised to see that go back into his hands too.
He did handle a lot of that pressure on the top side, and well, had a nice couple outplays there too. Got the first blood, of course, for Resolve that did come through. Not too many kills followed the first blood for about 20 minutes, but it was there. It, of course, will be a stat. It is a fact. It did happen, and well, similar things happening for Evil Genius Prodigies, except this time they will shake it up a little bit more. This feels like more of a pick here for Tomia, as he's going to actually have the Rumble, and it will be paired with the Nocturne.
Yeah, and this is a very common pairing we're seeing here too. EGP still wanting to lean more towards that dive composition.
Yes.
When you think about the champions that are still available, especially in the AD mid-roll, you think Tristana, you think Kaisa to really facilitate some of these dives. It's something Resolve definitely need to be keeping in mind here as we see what else they're going to go for. Ooh,
okay.
I hope that Diana's not a mistake because I love... Austin, I love that champion.
I know you do. It is a fun champion to watch because of really what it can do. It has a lot of playmaking potential, and we'll see if that is, in fact, of course, the pick. Have to imagine it is. I'm hoping it is. We'll see if that's the case. Now, coming through with the second pick here for Resolve. Have to round out phase 1. The Nautilus will come through, and that is a very common pick, I guess, for Winter, and he's very comfortable on it.
Yeah, I wouldn't have been surprised to see the Rel too, because there's a really nice pairing in that with that jungle. But of course, EGP have that option as well. Nocturne Rel being a really strong combination. There it is. We're going to see that one come through, and it's a pretty nasty dive coming through. I think Resolve, though, taking the Nautilus is fine because you still have a lot of dive potential in your own right. Things like the depth charge, things like the root, the dredge line, still a really solid pick, both in and out of lane here. But it feels like Resolve, they're not trying to really kind of come up with a different way to answer EGP. Like, they want to dive just as badly as EGP does.
Yeah, I guess the good news this time around is that you at least don't have to worry about the Cogma as of yet, I guess I should say. Don't expect it because the Lulu is out. So that is probably a little bit better for that Rel combination to come through with the Paranoia layered with the Equalizer for the Rumble. So it might be a bit better. We'll have to see. Either way, Resolve, they have to now come away with some bans, as the first one for EGP was the Ezreal. We saw you have, I guess, an okay performance on it, but wasn't anything spectacular overall. 80 carries do need to be picked up, and it's not going to be pinched for Resolve. They're instead just going to take away some of the solo laners and remove the Sylas.
Yeah, Aspect has a pretty nasty Sylas, so it's not something I would particularly want to let through. Both game 1 and 2, they are respecting that. Ezreal Ben is fine too, I think, just because he's really safe. And when we talked about a little bit in game 1, when you have this battle of dive versus dive, it's going to be who gets the backline first. So you want as safe a backline as possible, and there it is. They banned Tristana away as well because they don't want to facilitate that Resolve's dive, and also have an AD carry who does have that bit of self-protection with that rocket jump.
Yeah, a lot of respect to both solo laners, and there it is. The Kaisa comes through. I mean, it's just so fitting with the composition that has been drafted for EGP, so no surprises really.
No, none at all. And now I'm curious to see what Resolve are going to be looking to pick up here. A lot of potential dive champions have certainly been pinched away, whether it's picked or banned by either one of these sides here. So what is really left here for Resolve to pick up? And it's the Nico Hover. It's the Nico Walkin.
All right, Resolve. They like to play these spicy picks for us. We saw it throughout the very last tier 2, where they were picking Ziggs, Hecarim and Seraphine after nerfs. And now we're going to get ourselves a Nico and a Diana coming in for the game 2. And, well, you really just love to see that, B-Town, because they're champions that we don't get to see every day, and they have that ability to throw your opponents off guard.
Yeah, and you know what? I like the Nico for a lot of reasons. One is that Kaisa being a short-range AD carry, Nocturne, of course, being melee, Rel the same. Like, you have a lot of close-range, clumped-up dives here at EGP, and, well, that just screams Pop Blossom, and I'm sure APA is feeling the same thing there. So there's a lot of playmaking potential like you talked about, Austin, and with an AD carry like Xayah, like I was saying, someone who can at least somewhat protect themselves here when we think about the Featherstorm. Xayah fits the bill perfectly here. So I like the draft and the answers Resolve have come up with.
I really do like it too. I mean, just for this game too, this is one that, of course, you have to win if you're EGP. And really, I think I'm focused on the early game. You know, are we going to get a little bit more action out of Tomio coming in on something that is, you know, not going to be that Xin Zhao? Will, of course, probably be power farming a little bit with that Rumble, looking to build up a lead versus his counterpart. But you do have at least some play making options with a lot of the ultimates, with a lot of the setup here across some of the lanes here. So I'm just feeling like this is going to be a better game for Tomio. He can get a lot more involved. And EGP, I mean, are sure coming back in towards this one, not happy with the game number one simply because they were out macroed. So this is now something we'll have to keep our eye on going in towards the later parts. But ladies and gentlemen, game number two looks like it is ready for us to get on into. Game one went to Resolve, but EGP, they love to fight, they love to go the distance, and we'll see if they can do it once more for us here, Beatdown.
That's right, and this time around, EGP has no shortening on scaling this time around. We think about things like the Rumble, the Orianna, and of course the Kaisa. A lot of late game damage available here, and a lot of team fight. Orianna, we don't see as much of, because in favor of the more melee AD assassin picks from time to time here, but now it offers a lot of team fight potential here for EGP, and it's not as much of something we saw last game. We think about the Nocturne Rel Wombo. We think about the follow-up combo with the Kaisa Ultimate, the Killer Instinct. I like EGP's team fighting chances a lot better here in game two.
I do as well. Can they put it to good use? We'll have to find out. Last time it was both junglers starting on the same side of the map for us. We'll see if that is the case all over again. Both did start leashless, and I felt like Tomio did have some good reads. He did an interesting path in the game one where he went from red to blue to Gromp, and then path from his wolves back to the top side to make sure that he evened out on the Scuttle Crabs. And, well, when we're mentioning the mid lane matchup here, I imagine APA should be able to find some pretty early pressure to make sure that Fnatic is getting his crabs. I think that's like a key to winning for Resolve, Beatdown, after all of the talk with Fnatic, right? It's like, if you get the crab,
he's giving us the hints.
Yeah, your chances of winning just went up by, let's go with like a good 20%.
Wow, that's a big number.
Goes
Could you
drastically
explain that
down,
to my
though.
solo queue teammates, please.
It goes drastically down if he doesn't get the crab, so
of course,
keep that in mind.
Of course, yeah, of course. So we're gonna find out now if we can increase their chances for victory here. Because both Diana and Rumble aren't the strongest early game junglers, not unlike what we saw in game one. Can't imagine we see a whole lot of skirmishing. I feel like we'll see a lot of the same bit of avoidance. We're not really looking to fight too much early, and that's why I have a feeling we're gonna see another slow one here from both of these teams. It's gonna be about the farming. It's gonna be about once we hit level 6, all right, then we can talk.
We sure can. PCL, the same matchup. Last time set the lane up really well for Fnatic to come on in with the kill with the Olaf.
Nice.
This time Fnatic will really be getting his level 6 as fast as possible on the Diana. Probably gonna do some early farming. I mean, does have a look to mid. This would be really unexpected. Good catch Aspect off guard. He's low. A flash from Fnatic with the QE could be enough. There it is. Double flash. Fnatic thought that was gonna land. So Aspect actually able to get a couple summoners here for one. Not sure if we lost the Beatdown. I think we might.
I was muted myself. I'm
Okay.
so sorry, but we're back now with the TP.
We are back with a TP, and it's going to be matched. Can they make this dive happen? PCL is caught in it all, but they'll still come
like
through.
this.
The damage is good. The first blood's there, but PCL, he escapes. Unbelievable. And it's all to Surdy. Has to outplay a 1 versus 3. There's the
Oh,
redive.
yeah.
Fnatic
Yeah.
comes through. The tower shot
And
is
he lives.
not enough. Very well done as Resolve. Get a 2-for-0 in the top lane.
I'll tell you what, Austin. You know what I like more than dives working out?
What's that?
2-0 Diana. Fnatic having a great time right now, and to make matters Even better, he secures that scuttle grab. But let's take a look at the replay here. The TP comes through, and I love this. They don't take the tower aggro just yet. APA takes one shot, walks away. And as soon as the TP is finished, they think, all right, Aspect, thanks for the kill. And of course, this point, Surdy is just on borrowed time. He wants to try and clear out this wave, but realistically, he's just a dead man walking. There's nothing that he can do about it. It's a really clean dive on the top side, and immediately 2 kills over to Resolve.
And well, that is a lot more early action than we've seen in the game number 1, where they're setting up level 3 dives and they're coming up for 2 for O's. Just going to show just really how good this Resolve roster has gotten, how they can play multiple different play styles now. And this is likely a situation where you're like, all right, they're playing really slow. They want to just wait and kind of pick their fights as they see them, where they just turn things up completely. And now EGP find themselves in a situation where they have to try and bounce back from, and it might just need to come from another lane other than top here, as some early advantages have been created for the side of Resolve.
Now, we're just back to the slow game. Once again, PCL is feeling a little bit of pressure. He might be feeling more with Tomio in the vicinity, but how much of a dive can we really see here? Oh, the flash!
The burn, it's there. Tomio gets involved early in the game too. Will make the play work out, and they're able to punish PCL.
I wasn't really expecting him to go for it, but Tomio just full sends it and manages to get that answer back. Luckily for PCL, he'll be able to TP back to lane, but that means no cross-map plays so far for the Dragon. And it seems like both teams not really going for it just yet. Again, it's just the farming, the scaling, the firm handshake that not everybody loves, but these two teams seem to love quite a bit here. Things are going to slow back down. We're going to go back to farming. In the bot lane, though, I see a lane gank on the horizon here for Fnatic.
It's very possible. And we do have a Mountain Dragon, which is probably screaming high priority to both of these teams. You want to get yourself the extra resistances, and they might be looking for something. We'll see if they can get it. As everyone's just waiting at the moment, we'll see Tomio make his way down. And, well, as everyone comes on through, they wanted to set up for a play, but Fnatic is just simply going to reset.
That's right, and that's going to be his first back. You can see it in his inventory. Manages to get quite the nice buy going for himself here. Nice little bit of AP, health, even the Dark Seal purchase. He's really liking his chances. APA.
Pop Blossom, it comes through. Aspect has no flash, and the auto should be there. APA gets it, but meanwhile, Array also finds some value in the bot lane. And, well, there must have been a 2 versus 3, because guess who's here? It's Tomio, and now he's forced out. That will be the dredge line finding its mark, but Winter can't follow up any further.
That's okay. I mean, you're really happy with that one. Scenario, Array, who isn't even level 6, lives and secures the kill. So everything is just coming up Resolve in this early game. We're going to catch a replay of the mid lane here, as even though the shockwave was nice, it unfortunately angles APA just that much closer to auto. Aspect down. You can see it on the top of your screen there too. Array also secures the kill on the bottom side of the map. This is a real tough one here. Oh, we're actually going to see this replay. So it just ends up being the flash engage and a sick dredge line coming out from Winter. And by that time, look at Tomio. He's clearing a pink. He's like, oh, wait, are we doing this?
Yeah, that's tough, man. Skytech just caught off guard with the amount of damage, and I think I am too. I did not think they'd be able to do it, so the exhaust came in just a tad bit late, and it will cost them, a huge amount of tempo now, because you lost your mid laner. You just gave a kill over in the bot lane here, and now you have a lot of players snowballing this time around for Resolve, and it's just happening so much sooner. I think that's really the biggest factor, as we might see something in mid lane. APA is going to come through. The flash from Winter as he says, hello, I'm ganking from top side. The dredge line, though, doesn't find the follow-up. Tomio drops the equalizer, won't find anything else, but they do come away with the flash.
Yeah, it's still a really nice play, a really nice angle from Winter. It's like you called, Austin. Who was expecting the Nautilus from the top side, especially so soon after the fight?
The flash.
Oh my god!
APA, baby! He just has so many pocket picks, it feels like. The Nico comes out, the flash is there, and it's a solo for Always Plan Ahead.
Oh my god, he comes out on top here, and because the jungler shows up mid, guess what, Austin? Fnatic's looking for the dive instead, and look who's with him. It's another Fnatic, but really it's APA.
It's bad news bears right now for EGP. No matter where you are on the map, it feels like Resolve, they're just breathing down your neck. They're ready to make that move, ready for that out position, and Well, so far it's worked out quite beautifully, as we'll take another look at that mid lane solo kill.
And immediately, APA flashes in as we move the camera. Like, look at the confidence. Nose Aspect doesn't have flash, is immediately just gonna go for the play here. And even though he doesn't find anything, he does try to roam to the top side, does try to look for something here. Now we'll finally see EGP at least get a consolation prize in Dragon number 1. Mountain Dragon means a little bit of resistances here, but the first Herald trade is so good for Resolve because they already have a lead going. Now they can start to pressure even further. I see 3 plates on the top tier 1 tower, Austin, and that could very well be where the Herald goes.
It might be indeed, as Tomio showing us a little bit of his farming skills in the jungle. Got 2 camps going at once, just fast clearing with the Rumble. Does have actually a pretty big CS lead over Fnatic. Multiple camps, but you have to take in consideration that there has been 2 kills that have been collected for Fnatic at the beginning of the game. That he hasn't actually, really tried to push much farther than that, very first play. He's set up a couple of lane ganks, but they haven't exactly panned out here for him. So he's just going to do the exact same thing. He's going to farm, probably move towards the top side, cover PCL as he goes for the shove too.
And more than cover. Herald still in hand here. Could play
True.
for the lane gang, could play for the dive, and even potentially just take that first turret. Already, APA is missing from lane. He's not actually going, but he wants the question mark pings to come through. He wants EGP to second guess. Here comes the play.
All right, the equalizer comes out. The paranoia is used, but are they ready for a Diana hiding in the brush? Goes in, the flash is there, but PCL has been taken out. Fnatic needs to come away with it, but the outplay is here for Surdy, and now it's a party in the top lane, but no one can set it up. Winter, however, goes in, and he gets pulled by the Magnet Storm. A massive misplay. Winter will go down, and Tomio will collect the kill.
Oh, an insane topside win here for Evil Genius Prodigies. The fact that PCL takes way too much damage in this skirmish before Fnatic can get the damage down is what ultimately caused this play to fail. We're going to see a replay in just a moment of really where it all went wrong for the side of Resolve here. It was nice from Fnatic to wait in the brush and try to kind of bait the engage here, but as soon as you see the equalizer, you got to realize it's go time. But look, he has to wait. He needs Tomio to show himself here, and he needs to get the drop on Surdy like we saw, but the flash gets him out. The damage just isn't quite there, because look how quickly Tomio can just move back in. And I mean, props to him. He almost won that one, Fnatic.
He did, and then
Wait,
Winter,
what was that?
Yeah, Winter
What was
goes
that?
back in here. Very confusing. 2 versus 4. APA, he's been playing great, but we look back on live, and it looks like PCL also just went down again. So
Oh, no.
not having a great game number 2 as they are just picking on PCL in the top lane.
I just want to say quickly, my big exclamation was more for that dredge line landing, because what was that? But we're going to look at the replay. APA is... Actually, no, this is not the replay. This is live. What am I saying? APA, though, with the Herald, is going to be able to get the mid-tier 1 down pretty low. Nice bit of extra gold in his pocket. As you can see, he's got quite the lead here. We got leads in most places here, but the big leads are actually top and jungle in favor of EGP. That's why they're up about 1,000 gold at this point. And look where the gold is, Austin. It's on the Rumble. It's on the Nocturne. That is a little scary.
It is scary because Surdy has TP advantage. PCL just came back to the lane, and you could use that paranoia in the bot lane if you could find an angle on Array. There is options, but at the moment, they're going to clear out some of that vision, make sure that there is nothing in from behind so that they are not being TP'd on here. That will be the kind of the key factor to look at. Fnatic, he's going to have to go back to farming, has slowed down quite a bit, and we take a look at the gold overall in that 2-0 start that Fnatic had, where he had that dive, will actually now be in favor of Tomio because of that top lane fight here. So that is really well done for Tomio. Recovering from your opposition having a 2-0 lead just like 5 minutes in the game is never easy, but Tomio gets it done.
And just like that, he is 3-0 at the moment here. He's caught up. He's actually ahead now. He has the Mythic as well. Like, that's all it takes for someone like Rumble, man. First Mythic, Sork shoes, bam. Unreasonable amounts of damage coming through. And of course, top lane could be the site yet again here. APA is moving up. Tomio's already in the area, but good on Surdy. As soon as APA leaves the lane, he is a lot more careful here. The question is, though, will we see another fight? Oh, he's just baiting with this back.
He really is. And PCL, I don't think he's going to bite. Let's go, PCL. He's doing what he can right now, but Well, he says, if you're not going to bite, I'm going to bite you. And, well, here comes the equalizer. They come in. Tomio, I don't think he's going to press too much further, but they will force him out of lane.
Yeah, but he doesn't, despite not having flash, he does get to walk away, which is great. The problem is, though, now you're getting these plates in Shoryu's pockets here. You can see he's slightly behind in gold. You look at the bottom side of the screen, but that gap is closing narrowly, especially if he does manage to take this turret. And look at the minimap. Resolve are so focused on the bottom side of the map because of this dragon that's up that Shoryu is just free to farm here, pick up that plate, pick up the rest of that turret.
Wow, 1,300 gold advantage for APA on this Nico. He got the first tower.
Wow.
A tower will go back, as you mentioned, but it looks like Array should be able to easily secure the bot lane tower for himself and make sure that it is resolved. Still holding the head-to-head with the towers and being able to also take away some camps. Things looking pretty solid, and they got no dragon really to take right now, was just taken. So this is really a lot of great things, I think, happening for the side of Resolve, where they're happy to trade out a lot of the map right now, open it up. And as long as they make sure PCL isn't falling, then they should be A-okay.
And I think part of that, too, is because Resolve, if being able to take some of these outer turrets, set up some of this deep vision is so important. Having to face check things like Nico, like Diana, Nautilus, like, it's a really dangerous thing to have to go through without like a single pocket of vision in your favor here. So if Resolve can keep it up with the towers, really start to push some of these advantages and try to get some of this deep vision, I think they will be in a good spot. I agree with you, but the question is, how are these next few minutes going to go? Because if we go for a team fight at the moment here, I lean towards Resolve just a little bit, but it could go either way because we're seeing some key spikes come out for pretty much every player on the Rift right now.
Well, both these teams have been happy to do this throughout both of the games, where it's just you're pushing bot lane, we're pushing top lane, we'll trade objectives, and really that accelerates everyone and typically gets us towards team fights faster because items are coming in faster. So I'm okay with it for sure, as we'll see Tomio just make sure he also gets away with some camps after some of his was taken away. But everything will reset, as you mentioned here, for us. There's nothing really to play for. It is just trying to stay up. Don't get out macroed for Resolve. I think that's really the big key for EGP this time around, right? And they've been doing at least a little bit of a better job for that. But overall, because this mid lane tower has gone down, you can see it. Aspect has to catch this at his tier 2, which is going to give a lot more breathing room to Resolve at the moment.
You can see on the minimap what they're doing with that breathing room. A lot of deep vision set up. Not many pinks, but a lot of stealth wards immediately revealed by the Scryer's Orb thanks to the Cloud Rift coming through. So will allow Surdy to be able to clear some of that vision, but you can see the advantages that Resolve are using at the moment here. Now, with all the vision they've cleared, PCL is in a little bit of trouble.
Yes. Will they be able to get on top of them? Doesn't look like they're going to force. We'll just take away the vision, late vision of their own in the jungle, and simply walk away. Do not want to overforce.
No, that's right. And you can see the pings coming through again. Like, they're just happy to continue on trading, Austin. You see pressure top side. We're going to add some pressure bot side. And that is just the name of the game here. Now, though, EPA, not sure if he got quite, did he quite see Surdy? But, oh, God, yeah, I think they did because they're looking for the dive.
Rift Herald tier 2. Very well. Should be the tier 2 for members. Array just pumping the damage into that tier 2 tower. So it is going to drop off the charge. And now can they really line this up for a charge right on towards the inhibitor tower? Doesn't look like it. Aspect is 30. Hold the ground. Make sure that that will not happen. But now a rotation. We talked about the macro play. Resolved. When they really turn it on, it can be difficult to deal with. They're just going to take away some camps, shove that wave in, and now look for some resets.
Yeah, this is beautiful. Moving from bot to mid like that and taking that tier 2 means they can continue pushing that bot wave that someone will eventually have to answer here. And what that means is when we start thinking about things like the Baron in the next couple of minutes, it's going to be really tough to have someone go answer that bot wave. Resolve can just immediately bait out a TP by starting the Baron. And if there's no TPs available, well, that's just a Baron for Resolve here. But APA, someone is in that brush, last I checked, so he's going to have to be careful. Luckily, Winter is with him. I think he might be all right.
Everyone just wants to spend that gold that's been collected, and that's been from all the towers taken down. But talking about towers, 4-2, in advantage of Resolve. And talk about that gold lead, and just about dead even. Just a few hundred gold separating both of these squads, but that is in favor of EGP, at least for the time being. APA, he's forced over towards the side lane, probably going to push things out and then look to rotate on in. We do have a dragon that's coming up in 40 seconds, and both teams already having one apiece, meaning that this one could be nice to get. Cloud, you always love to get here for yourself, especially when you're talking about the Featherstorm here on Xayah, the Pop Blossom as well. There's a lot of great ultimates for both of these squads overall to kind of get that reduction overall in the cooldown.
That's right, and that pink, really well placed in Resolve's bot side jungle, will reveal most of EGP here in the area. Ray, he needs to be very careful at the moment here, but because of the pressure EGP have exerted, you gotta imagine that's another dragon in their pocket, especially because APA is just continuing to push on this top tier 2 turret. Oh, Ray!
Ray's gone. He is gone. I don't even think he had a chance to make a move, and we'll hold on to it. Fnatic, I guess you're golden, brother, but that's not looking great. Resolve, they're in the jungle. The Pop Blossom comes down as the return. Fnatic and APA doing with again, but Aspect finds the support. Winter is out. We see Surdy go all in, and that will clean up everyone on the side of Resolve. It's PCL versus the world, and well, the world will win. The ace is in 19 minutes in game number 2.
Oh man, the positioning from Array there was so painful to watch, because as soon as that Void Seeker lands, it's just vision for Surdy to go for that ultimate. And you can see it, this very greedy pathing walking through the mid wave here. They spot him out, and there it is. The vision comes through. It's so easy to take him out, and at that point, they just walk up and clean up the rest here. Oh, okay, so it was in response to seeing Surdy. That makes a little more sense. And even though this fight looked good, unless you secured kills with things like the Pop Blossom or the Moonfall, you were never going to win this fight.
I feel like it was a misclick, like right away. I don't know. Either way, I think it does cost them the fight for sure. You no longer have that stasis after you use your entire combination.
That's true.
So it's extremely tough. And well, now take a look at the stats. Says you have a 6-0 Tomio, who has just gone absolutely rampant in a lot of these fights and has had some excellent equalizers. On top of that, you got Surdy, who's 3-1-6, recovered beautifully from that top lane dive that wasn't easy to recover from. And it's going to be a little bit more difficult for Resolve. But this did work for them in the game 1. They baited out some TPs when they did it. I don't think they're going to stay on it for too long. Surdy not even going to really look at it. He's like, all right, you guys want to make a move? That's fine. You're pushed off. Now we'll just simply move in for our second Drake of the game.
I think part of that was because the Drake hadn't been taken. They just wanted to make sure there wasn't the potential of them being able to sneak something here. But yeah, they're just losing out on all fronts at the moment here for Resolve. Really detrimental team fight has put them quite behind. And it's like you said, Tomio is so big right now on the Rumble. You saw it in the equalizers. You see it in the Flame Spitter when he's fighting PCL. And we're in a really tough game state for Resolve, because once they start falling behind, it's going to be tough for them to be able to play out these fights. The key thing for them is in the ultimates. You saw it in the last skirmish. The Pop Blossom can do a lot of damage. The Moonfall can do a lot of damage. But without those landing successfully, at this point in time, Resolve are going to struggle.
They sure will. And at the moment, EGP, they really want to get this mid lane tower down. Would give them a lot more ease moving into red or blue quadrant to set up vision, but they kind of want to get ahead of that, maybe even catch PCL, as Aspect is going to take out the blue ward. PCL is going to meet a Tomio. The burn is there. Oh my gosh. As PCL is taken down low. Will there be a finish? The equalizer will get it. The burn is in. Tomio solos him. Gets maybe a shield, but that was all the Rumble.
Yeah, and that's already so big here. 30 seconds, no TP. They could make a play for this Baron, but right now, Austin, they're just going to clear out vision on the side of EGP. They're not going to be forcing anything just yet, especially with Surdy on the other side of the map, but that's a big pickoff overall. You have that top wave shoving in, and it doesn't look like anybody is going to be able to pick it up. That's just golden XP just evaporating on the map for the side of Resolve, and it's because they just aren't sure what to do at the moment.
Surdy going to pay some respect, but little does he know he's on a ward. Will they try and pull the trigger? It looks like they want to. Coming on in, APA sets it up. There is the lockdown, but Will he be able to get on out? Oh, the equalizer is good for Tomio. That's going to force them back. Beautiful blocking off the entry to the jungle. But they are able to at least pressure out on the map and make sure that reset doesn't come through when it did.
Yeah, although you would have really loved the kill. It is nice that you do force him, waste a bit of time there, and it's really nice from Tomio. The range on that ultimate is kind of insane, too. The fact that he can still farm the Grom and be like, are you in trouble? Yeah, no worries, I got you.
Yeah, you're good.
yeah, you're good. Don't worry. Just keep walking. But overall, not a whole lot gained from the play. You still have ultimates available. You still have vision on this Baron pit. This is the big thing for them to play for here, as we're 2 minutes away from the Dragon. But it's tough at the moment. Resolve have to be careful of these side lane plays that we've been seeing in game 1 and 2 because of Surdy, because of that paranoia. And when that's available again, we could very well see of that very same play come through from EGP.
It's possible. Shoryu on the side lane at the moment. So interesting lane assignments, likely just here for a quick moment. Doesn't have to be bought for a little bit, so should be fine. 2 minutes on that Dragon now. This would be the third one for EGP. Now, it's also important to mention that they do have themselves a decent gold lead here, 2.7, so have been able to grow that over the course of quite a few team fights that have gone their way. And now they have to deal with the Tomio, who actually opts into picking up the Magi's here. And already having 10 stacks means that he is going to burn you if he gets on you uncontested.
Oh, man. And if he gets that up to 25, Austin, oh, it's just lights out, dude. This is not fair. Full stacked Magi's. But we're going to see if Tomio's going to be able to bring that one out here. We got some big item spikes coming through for Resolve, and here comes the fight.
They pull the trigger. It's on PCL. We can buy some time with the shield. He has to go in with the showstopper, but they already find the kill. They're only going to stay for one. They get the pick. Numbers advantage for EGP, and they're going to now move right to the Baron.
That's right. Like, there's still a chance Resolve can stop this, and it's going to be really key how they use the ultimates. Again, Moonfall, Pop Blossom. These are the big things that could win them this fight, especially with the damage Baron is doing here. We have the flank TP coming through, Austin. It is a PA.
His APA threw us off for a second, but now in the pit, it is going to be Surdy taken low, but they back up, and the bot lane is down for Resolve. It's a 4-man Pop Blossom, but the exhaust stops APA from doing anything. Fnatic will stay on the Baron, so it will be secured, but it's at a cost of just about the entire team.
Oh, man, and this is one of those things we're going to look back at soon and wonder if it was really worth it, because look at these spawn timers. You're going to lose so much off the results of this, but we're going to see this one come through. Again, PCL's already gone, or this is actually where PCL will fall. Again, beautiful play with the paranoia. It's just so easy for them to dismantle him. But now they start moving towards the Baron, and you can see it come through. They try to make a play with the blank TP from APA, but it's just not enough. Like, there's so much damage here, and 5v4, there isn't a whole lot you're going to be able to do here. Look at the jump onto Array. He is evaporated, and even if you secure the Baron, Austin, like, it doesn't really end up mattering because no one has the buff. You just simply deny it at the cost of, well, almost a team's worth of gold.
Julian. And then it's the smite fight, and Fnatic, yeah, he gets it. At least he is able to take that away, or else you'd be in a much stronger position if you were, in fact, EGP, but they're still fine. They also collect that third Drake, stacking up the clouds again. I would not even want to see the cooldown on that Rumble ultimate, because that equalizer is going to be up just about every 40 seconds or so now. It's not even level 16. You know what? I play some Rumble. I know what it is.
You played it last night.
I want to pretend like I don't. It's very gross, and you can just honestly layer it down for poke at this point in time. A lot of options, to say the least, overall, and now they're going to start to take away some of these towers on the side lanes. It's starting to build up some pressure.
And that's the pressure they've afforded themselves. With all the extra gold they've been able to spend, Austin, you got a lot of strong members here. We're looking at almost 3 items across the board here for the side of EGP, and at this point, they can just go in for it.
Equalizer comes in. The Pop Blossom is going to have to be used defensively, but APA is down. Aspect claims the kill. Winter taken low. Forced to use the lock, but Array still in. PCL trying to find the angle. Is there one to really find? Because they pull the trigger on him. That's another one down. Resolve. They're on the retreat. Array is just melted by the Rumble and the Kaisa. That is everyone down but Winter, and this very well might be the game-ending push.
Look at these spawn timers. Winter is just but one lone support. This could be the end. We look like we're going to a game 3 here, Austin. EGP, as soon as they started to catch this league, it was just lights out. So much damage. Winter is over. It's summertime, baby.
EGP, they bounce back in dominating fashion here. Fnatic actually does find a couple of kills, but I don't think it's gonna matter. The best you could have hoped for in the end, but it's still the Nexus that falls, which means that we're going to a game 3.
And what an exceptional bounce back coming through from EGP. Again, we saw the really slow, methodical early game once more. Some plays here and there, but we talked about it. Trading of objectives across the map, trading for towers. Things were very even so far, but as time went on, Austin, as soon as you saw more opportunities for some of these side lane plays, dude, Surdy was all over that.
Yeah.
The fact that he is able to find so many dives was what was so impactful here, and you saw it as soon as it's around the mid game when Array makes that misplay in the mid lane. When he gets found out and taken down, that's when it really starts to go downhill here for Resolve. They tried to get themselves back in the game, but when you give away that kind of gold lead to champs like Rumble or Kaisa, all the damage that they can put out as they scale, there was just no way.
There was no way, and there was just, honestly, a lot of massive plays to bounce back from that early game. I mean, we have to reflect on the fact that, hey, like Fnatic got 2 kills on that dive that they pulled off in the top lane at level 3,
That's
and
true.
no one got traded. Like, that was already a massive advantage, not only because of the kills, but the XP, the gold. Surdy had to invest the TP right away to get back in that top lane, and they were still able to work back in, and it was with the help of Tomio. I could just feel it. Like, Xin Zhao, it wasn't working for him. I think it was really
Right.
just to take it away, but, you know, coming into this game too, Tomio had something to show. He said, listen, all right, I didn't have the best game number 1, but I'm on the Rumble. I don't even think he ends up dying at the end of that one there, and he might have very well ended with 25 Magi stacks because he was just melting people when he was getting on top of you, and there was really nothing Array could even do. He was like, well, I mean, I pressed our guys, but I was already chunked down to about 10% health, so I just have nothing left in the tank, and because of it, I mean, they just did such a good job eliminating the carries in the fights time after time.
Yeah, you just saw as time went on how much easier that became. At that point, they were just hiding in the deeper parts of the enemy jungle here in the side of Resolve. They just sitting in the Raptors pit like, all right, who's stepping up today? And immediately it's always somebody. You're just a little bit too far. You're at that point in the game where EGP just dismantle you as soon as they get on top of you. Rumble comes through, Kaisa comes through, flying in with Killer Instinct. That's it.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, we've had 2 banger games to open on up day 2, but we still have to have it decided. Before we get to that game 3, we'll throw things to a short break. Don't go too far. We'll be back after this.
Sorry, but we're back now with the TP.
We are back with a TP, and it's going to be matched. Can they make this dive happen? PCL is caught in it all, but they'll still come through. The damage is good. The first blood's there, but PCL, he escapes. Unbelievable. And it's all to Surdy. Has to outplay a 1 versus 3. There's the re-dive. Fnatic comes through. The tower shot is not enough. Very well. Array's gone. He is gone. I guess you're golden, brother, but that's not looking great. Resolve, they're in the jungle. The Pop Blossom comes down as the return. Fnatic and APA doing it again, but Aspect finds the support. Winter is out. We see Surdy go all in, and that will clean up everyone on the side of Resolve. It's PCL versus the world, and well, the world will win.
Especially with the damage Baron is doing here. We have the flank TP coming through, Austin. It is a PA.
His APA threw us off for a second, but now in the pit, it is going to be Surdy taken low, but they back up, and the bot lane is down for Resolve. It's a 4-man Pop Blossom, but the exhaust stops APA from doing anything. Fnatic will stay on the Baron, so it will be
3 items across the board here for the side of EGP, and at this point, they can just go in for it.
Equalizer comes in. The Pop Blossom is going to have to be used defensively, but APA is down. Aspect claims the kill. Winter taken low. Forced to use the lock, but Array.
So much damage. Winter is over. It's summertime, baby.
EGP, they bounce back in dominating fashion here. Fnatic actually does find a couple of kills, but I don't think it's going to matter. The best you could have hoped for in the end, but it's still the Nexus that falls, which means that we're going to a game 3.
And what an exceptional bounce.
And suddenly, evil genius Prodigies decided to take a turn for the better and make this into a whole series. And I could not be happier for it. Welcome back to the desk with Option Garbage, MLBD, and Manny Sanchez. Gentlemen, Resolve decided, all right, game 1 was a little bit too easy. It was boring. What if we decided to just lose this game, man?
Yeah.
Then let's start off with you, man. Resolve had it until they didn't.
Yeah, we saw them get off on the right foot. They had a good first blood, and towards the top lane, we saw PCL get a very good bait on the set. It felt like they had a good idea of what they were going to do in this game. They knew what their team composition was going to do. They had APA on another one of these, pocket picks, and yeah, we have that first blood replay queued up. And like I was saying, it just felt like Resolve had a good sense of what they wanted to do. It was a pretty hectic play. We saw APA teleporting up their aspect, tries to match it on the Orianna, but that just sets up the facebreaker. And then PCL's able to get the shield off, able to survive there. Fnatic goes in, tanks the tower aggro afterwards. And it was just such a well-played play. Resolve off to such they're off on such a strong foot in the early game.
Yeah, and a wise man once said they're winning until they lose, right? And the next throw was, the next play rather was a throw. But yeah, they decided to go in towards the top lane, Dylan.
Yeah, that next play from them, we got a replay of that queued up as well. And the thing that I want to hit on here is it feels like Resolve has a read that this is happening, right? They know that Tomio is heading up towards the top side of the map. We see Fnatic waiting, but I think the Nocturne ult, the Paranoia, just reducing the vision, it made things a little bit hard. PCL didn't quite know what was going to go on. APA had the teleport ready, but couldn't use it due to the vision loss. And then we see Winter here. He had the read that the play was happening in the top side. He started moving there before SkyTech even started moving, but he just didn't make it in time, right? He was a little bit too slow in the play, decided to Resolve, thought that they could, just 2 for 2 it in the beginning. They could come out. But, at the end of the day, that's pretty much what set them behind in this game. They were in the driver's seat until that point. But after that, things started to fall apart.
Yeah, to me, it looks like I think PCL took more damage than he expected on that set, started to back off, and then Fnatic hard committed to the play, and at that point, it was a little bit too late, so he got killed in the middle of his ultimate, PCL did. But that brings us to, obviously, the the one that sort of set everything moving in EG's favor, and just they were able to put the foot down here with this top lane replay. And this starts out really unfortunately for Array. We were trying to figure out what happened. We're pretty certain that he was just looking top with his camera, didn't notice he got tagged by the Kaisa W, and then they were able to take him down because of this. And at this point, the fight is all over. Aspect fully whiffs his shockwave on the side, but it doesn't matter because there's no AD carry on the side of Resolve, and he's able to just they're able to just run them down off of this. And this is also the fight that allows Tomio to just really fully hit critical mass on this Rumble. At this point, he's like 604, and he just starts killing everybody.
And all this and more actually continues throughout this entire game, right? Because then you see Resolve, they try to slow down the game a little bit, maybe get more of their power points, but unfortunately, it just seemed as though the getting caught here, Dylan, didn't seem to end because EGP at that point, along with Tomio, were so far ahead. These Rumble ultimates were crucial. And then we reach truly critical mass near that Baron.
Yeah, the Baron replay that we have, it was just when things went from bad to worse, right? EGP at this point, like Manny was saying, Tomio on the Rumble was just so big. They knew that all they had to do was force towards these neutral objectives, the Dragons, the Barons, get them set up for the Rumble equalizers. And we can go into the replay right now of it. It felt like EGP had a perfect understanding of what they wanted to do here, right? Their setup. And we saw Fnatic and APA, they had a decent idea of what to do, right? If you can combo that Diana ultimate with the Nico Pop Blossom, there is a world where you can get this Baron steal and maybe a kill or two on the way out. But as soon as you actually really don't get anything with the Diana ultimate, right? Not even a single kill. The Nico ultimate amounts to 1 kill. Sure, they get the Baron. That's something. It's nice for Fnatic stats. You know, that's another Baron steal for him. But it feels like it was just a little bit too little too late.
And that just continues at a proponent further and further. You even saw that the Pop Blossom there too. Catches 4. Like it was absolutely huge.
Big
But ginormous even. But then the moonlight doesn't come in. The sun stays out to shine, and then all of EGP stay alive. So as we go on throughout this game, Resolve just had a completely lost footing here. And what seemed like a really strong start completely slipped away from them. And with a Rumble that's 7-0, all that match damage just burns you down so consistently. I can even look at the damage right here. My God, like 19K here. It's just disgusting amounts of damage coming up from Tomio. So for all you asking, guys, it is not Meteos. It's Tomio. It's C2 Meteos. Read his name.
He's actually the evil twin brother of Meteos, born in Canada, according to Empire in the chat. But yeah, I mean, he played so well. It amazes me every day that, you know, Manny, you were saying this while we were kind of off air. EG is starting to turn into that Cloud9, you know, that farmhouse for new talent where all these, you know, up and coming players are starting to really get their first shots in EG, whether that's with their prospects team, their amateur team, or the academy team, right? We see Team Luke with them, plenty of other players in that space as well. But I mean, it's so good to see that these players are finally getting their shot. And I think Tomio is somebody he's due for moving up in the scene.
Yeah, absolutely. They're basically hoarding 80 carry talent at this point, the way Cloud9 it feels like almost used to do with for a lot of their positions. But yeah, it's been really great to see everyone on the EG team come online. And yeah, it was just like Resolve, they had a really great start to that game, but it really just felt like they were basically caught out when they didn't they just couldn't be. And that was basically what cost them.
Was genuinely unfortunate. We saw some of the positions in Resolve it because you saw how, when they would continue on throughout that game, right? Resolve seemed like they had a clear game plan, but just small little things flipping away from them, like I was saying before. But I just want to reiterate again, Dylan, your prediction was wrong. Sucks to suck. All right, cool. So right now, me and Manny are still in the game right now, bro. Because if we're being honest, I know I said 2-0, but on the graphics it says 2-1, so I'm still right on this. I'm still here. Like it's like
that's cheating, Ravis.
He's hedging his bets. He can't do that.
Exactly, bro. Look, man. If I'm in Vegas, I'm not putting it all on black. Put 10 on right, 10 on white, 10 on 7. It's. I'm spreading it out. I may be a betting man, but I'm not a liar.
What
Thank you,
about my
production.
supernova prediction? Yeah, how about that? I'm the only one that picked them, and they won today 2-0 over Dig Barrage. So yeah, my predictions going strong today. Hopefully EGP can pull it out for at least for my slate of games, obviously.
Speaking of productions as well, the quick update for y'all too, like they mentioned before, Supernova 2-0, Dig Mig, and also Wildcard Red 2-0 to 100 Thieves X. So looks like Wildcard have decided to bounce back, and it looks like
Yeah.
your pep talk finally worked for them here, Maddie. But Dylan, your thoughts on this one too, considering although your prediction was wrong, do you still think EGP can clutch this out at the end? If so, what do they really need to do here to do so?
You know, I think EGP, they had a good read in the second game of what they needed to do. Tomio is somebody who's always been very good at these AP aggressive junglers. In the past, it was things like Nidalee. He even had something, Talia that he was willing to play. All of these champions are right in his wheelhouse. And I think Rumble is perfect for that, right? You are able to let your soul laners play more AD kind of dive center things. Nocturne and Rumble paired together is such a beautiful combination because it makes it so hard because you don't know where the equalizer is coming down. It creates so much chaos in the back lines for the side of Resolve. And my faith is in EGP because I think with their coach, Ido, and the players as well, these are all very, very smart guys. And not to say that Resolve isn't, but I do think that they have the read on what they need to do. And I think that game 3, we're going to see a similar draft, similar preparation. They're going to pull it out in game 3 as well.
All right, I respect it. It was a clear diplomatic answer you're talking about. The coaches, right? They know what they're doing. Okay, man, come on, Dylan, bro. I see your brazen about this before. I need you to say the opinion with your chest talking about they got a good coaching staff. Stop it. I don't like hearing all that. Manny, bro, give me something real for me, homie. Come on, I need to feel something.
Honestly, I'm actually kind of worried for EGP coming into this third game. Like,
Thank
sure, they
you.
were able to bring out the win at the end here, but a lot of that came because of Resolve messing up after they had already built a really big gold lead, right? We thought Resolve were just going to run over this game after the first 5 minutes, or 5 to 10 minutes rather, but EGP were able to pull it back, but that was only because Resolve sort of overstepped their bounds. Resolve have been setting stuff up better all day. Hopefully EG, with the momentum they gained from this win, if they're going to close out this series, I think it's going to have to be that way because so far Resolve's kind of had their number, at least in the early game.
Well, I mean, right now I'm trying to resolve number 2, bro. But it's like my phone is ready to go ahead and dial that up right now. So Resolve, yo, y'all go ahead, send me them digits. I'm ready to ring up your phone, as I'm sure our casters are as well. So let's throw it on over to Mr. Vicious Neil and of course Beatdown Boulevard to take us into the final game of the night. Let's see it.
Thank you very much, Ravish. And now we get back into it. Beatdown, going to the game 3. We had a feeling that EGP might get us to the distance. They somehow always find a way to do exactly that. And now this is the big decider. They had some excellent team fights coming out of that game 2. Could really see a different draft coming in. Excellent engage. And talking about engage, man, SkyTech found a lot of that for them. That's there. Right. And, that was a huge factor for setting up a lot of those fights.
Yeah, great player. We highlighted going into this very game, Austin. Dude, he's been so good, despite, of course, some of these hiccups, some of these missteps that we talked about, but none were present there in game 2. Nothing but sick engages from the new support player here in SkyTech was a lot of the reason why some of those fights went so very well. Like, they showed the replay on the desk, too. I feel like although I talked about going into our break, how I thought Array dying was kind of where that things kind of went downhill. Mm-hmm. It was the Baron fight where I think it was just doomed from that point on. APA goes for the flank TP. He tries to jump over with the blast cone to try and make a play happen, but SkyTech immediately turns and it's like, no, we can go kill the bot laner and ADC who are just in front of 4 people for no reason. And as soon as they do that, that fight's doomed. You get Baron, but it really didn't end up mattering there, and it's because of those sick engages.
And now I can't wait to see what the draft is going to shape up to be going into this game 3, because we've seen APA pulled out his Aurelion Soul, ended up pulling out a dub. Didn't even really roam on it too much, just pressured his lane, got the prio when he needed it to, and then it was the late game team fights that he actually found the most value, which is not something we see, but for an Aurelion Sol main, I guess it's expected for APA. And then he pulls out the Nico, had a couple of great pop blossoms in that game there for us, but ultimately didn't play the difference in a lot of those team fights, unfortunately, because everyone else was getting completely melted or shredded before you could really even add the additional damage there for us. So this is now interesting to see. Are we going to get a third champion coming into this best of 3 here for us? Or are we going to get something that's maybe going to be a bit more meta? I mean, who knows right at this point in time?
Right. Really excited to see what he pulls out this time around. And just going back to your point on draft, one thing I wonder about is, will we see the Nocturne get through as well? Not sure about sides just yet, but as soon as we know, that'll give us maybe a bit of an inkling here, because Nocturne is something that Resolve let go through. Game 1 wasn't as big a deal. Game 2, though, it was all the difference in those mid-game team fights, allowing EGP to get the leads that we saw them get towards the end, and then they win the game here. So are they going to let that through? Are they going to grab it for themselves first if they're on blue side? Not a common B1, but it's definitely an option available to them.
Yeah, there's a lot of options. I mean, we've been seeing pretty much the same standard bans come through. I think basically actually the same 3 bans back-to-back games, at least for the sign-up for Resolve. EGP, they're willing to shake some things up a bit. I mean, you have to also keep in mind that, hey, like this Kog'Maw Lulu, it is still very much a thing. So, yeah, whoever has this blue side, you know, very much might be trying to bring in something like that for as far as the Lulu here for ourselves. I mean, maybe even some priority towards the junglers, because Tomio just had an excellent game on the Rumble, and that was bouncing back from a Diana that started off 2-0 just about 5 or 6 minutes in. I feel like that is just like such an important point, because Diana usually doesn't find a lot of favor, you know, pre-6. Once you get the ultimate, you can be a little bit better with it overall, but just creating that much of an early lead and then seeing Tomio still bounce back and then stack out 25 stacks on the Magi's at the end of the game. I mean, it should be interesting, I guess, to see what champions we get here for Fnatic and Tomio.
And that's the big thing too. Again, and the question ends up being like, if Resolve are a blue side, do you ban Rumble out on blue side? This is another thing they have to be thinking about. Finally, the shakeup that you were talking about going into this next game here. There's a lot of options available, but I think the thing I find the most interesting is that so far both teams have opted for very strong, like move forward kind of dive centric compositions here. And I like how neither has really budged on that archetype so far, but maybe going into game 3, we might see that mix up come through. We've seen different styles from both of these teams, so we'll see if that's actually what they want to secure.
Yeah, slow, methodical for the game number 1, and then we got into game number 2, and it was just EGP just letting us know when we were fighting, which felt like just about every single minute of the game overall. But now we're just getting ready to jump in towards this draft. We've been speculating. We're trying to figure out what it's going to be, and now we're going to find out here for you guys, ladies and gents, as this will be the big one, and it is EGP on blue side for the game 3 beatdown.
Yeah, and then the question is, what are Resolve looking to take away here? EGP, just from the start, no matter what side, are going to get rid of the Karma. But Resolve, are they going to let slip the Gwen? That's one of the big things in my mind here, because it's definitely a pick we've seen EGP do well with. Even Tomio, not afraid to bring it into the jungle here. So what are Resolve going to take away now that they finally swapped sides?
Resolve thinking about a zillion. Can't imagine that's going to be a ban. The Gwen, there it is. We'll remove the Gwen, and I mean, rightly so. Evil Genius Prodigies, they've played this role, or rather played this champion in a couple of different roles, so just not want to deal with it whatsoever. And now it's PCL, who also is actually going to have to play something a little bit different, as the set will be banned away.
Yeah, interestingly enough, we'll see if other top lanes are available. Of course, still Nocturne's on the table. Lee Sin, both really strong in the top lane. PCL can play either one, so we'll see what else Resolve are looking to get rid of. A lot of power picks, of course, are still up. You could look towards the Rumble after a mammoth of a game Tomio had in game 1. That's something to look forward to. But of course, Akali, great champ. Can't go wrong banning her either.
No, you definitely cannot. And, well, Resolve have opted into banning that a couple of times as that champion, of course. Very difficult to deal with at times. Evil Genius Prodigies now need to figure out what do we want for the very last ban before we get in towards picking, and that is really the question. Junglers could be removed. I mean, that Lee Sin that you mentioned, will you save that here for Resolve to ban away? The Nocturne is going to be the lock-in, and I like this. You have to imagine that they were probably going to pick this here for themselves, and let's just completely remove it, not even leave it up on the table.
That's right, EGP not willing to pick it on blue 1, so of course they're just going to take it away, as it's a good answer on R1 or R2. So what are Resolve looking to get rid of here at this point? Rumble could be something that they don't want to let go. Do they know for sure if EGP are going to prioritize it? Again, Tomio, great showing last game. It could easily be something they just pick up for themselves on Blue One. Okay, so the Lulu ban is good, but you do leave Rumble up, unfortunately.
Yeah, Lee Sin is here. I think Lee Sin might have been up last time too, and I don't think anyone really opted into picking it, right? So maybe we'll get that here since the set is banned. Either way, I think getting Tomio back on the Rumble, good job EGP. We love to see that because Tomio had one hell of a game on it. So now do you have something prepared is really what you have to ask Resolve.
Well, it seems like it was what they had last game. They're okay with the Diana, and they're okay to pick it early, which I think is the most interesting thing. Because, again, it just shows that they're okay with the dive, move forward archetype here. They're not afraid to just show, hey, look, we're just going to full send it, EGP. Are you ready for that? And they're just going to pick Diana right away, follow it up with the Lee Sin, and there's already so much dive potential.
There is a lot of dive, and I mean, you also have to always mention that this Lee Sin can be a flex pick. I imagine it'll go to the top side, but hey, that could be pending the matchup. We could very well see it in the jungle beatdown. We could. Hopefully we don't, but we might. Either way, it could be brought in towards APA as well. But that Lucian has been left up, and well, that means it is locked in immediately.
Yeah, it's really strong mid-jungle duo. Of course, Aspect, nasty Lucian player. So if that goes to him in the mid lane, which you gotta imagine it's going to be, that is already going to be a problem here for APA in the mid lane. But he does have a lot of pocket picks, very unique champ pool, as we all know and love about him. So what is he going to answer with is what I'm curious about.
Have to see. This is just such a change up from when we used to see draft years ago to now, where it's no bot laners coming in. It is all junglers and solo laners essentially being picked up, with some flexes, I guess, still being in the mix. But we do get to see another Nico game coming in for APA. He had a solo kill on it. He had so much pressure, some great pop blossoms, and he wants to run it back for the game 3.
And at this point, with the no bot laners being picked up whatsoever, Austin, you got to imagine support is where at least some of these bans is going to go. You want to take away things like the Nautilus, potentially the Rel, because I think the Rel would be really nice for Resolve's composition here, just being able to use that Attract Repel. And it is just going to be 80 carry bans, so that Rel comes through, Austin. I'd like that. I would like that.
Well, it might. And I mean, getting a Rel onto someone like Skytech, someone like Winter, they know how to pull the trigger. They can find the angles. We've seen it in the last game and then game 1. But Ezreal and Callista, 80 carry bans as we would typically see it. That Xayah that was played last game is up. The Kai'Sa as well. I mean, that was really, I think, something that found a lot of value as we got to some of those later game team fights, and the Killer Instinct played a factor. But now we'll start to pinch out supports, and Resolve will ban out the Leona.
Yeah, a lot of dive coming through. It's much like in game 1. A lot of, there's a lot of dive coming through. Oh, they haven't picked their support. Well, let's just get Leona off the table. I don't want to see it. I don't want to think about it. Now that that's gone, you see the Tristana ban come through. EGP, okay. Probably maybe expecting that the Rel is going to come through here. And because Nautilus is up, you're just happy to take that trade.
You sure are. And now you have to figure out what you want to pick before going in towards that last ban, and they will grab the Kai'Sa here. So you have some dive with the Diana and the Lee Sin, and it looks like they maybe just want it just to come on through. It is still a strong pick, but it very well could be matched with something like a Varus here for EGP.
Could very well be. They're still thinking it looks like, but Nautilus absolutely an option. Would fit really well with what they are trying to do. Rel is technically an option too if you want. Okay, wow, yeah, they're just going to grab it. Partially, I think, to deny the combo. When you think about Diana, Rel, when you think about even the Lee Sin going in for the kick, to be able to use that Attract Repel is so very useful. So they just want to take it away, and it still suits their purposes very well. Skytech had it good. He played well in game 2. Let's just bring it out game 3.
Bring it out. Look for the setups. Look for those equalizers being layered there with the Magnet Storm. Very well done. And now it is the Varus, as we predicted. Coming through, you have some poke options now. You're able to scrap versus the Kai'Sa early. And it also is a pretty nice 2v2 where we're talking about the Varus and the Rel if they're able to find an angle.
You got a lot of team fight setup as well here. You just having, of course, the plethora of CC that is Rel's kit. You have the Chains of Corruption from Varus. There's a lot of ranged ways you can start off these fights if you so choose. And speaking of ranged ways to kick things off, Austin, is that, you see what I'm seeing?
I'm seeing it. I'm hoping it's true because a Blitzcrank?
I like it. I like it.
Tell me about this pick, Beatdown. Why do you like it?
I like it because one, in lane, you got to be super careful about getting picked off because this really interesting thing with Blitzcrank, he pulls you away from your team and you just get absolutely blitzed, pun intended, if you end up falling to that. So, of course, EGP are going to want to play from range, poke from range. But Austin, these flash plays over the wall, these are available here to resolve. There's so much they can do with this blitz in and out of lane. It's scary. Question is, can Winter land the grabs?
Yeah, that's always the key. We talk about the blitz, we hype it up, and then we get into game, and sometimes, the rocket grab doesn't exactly find its mark, and well, then the blitzcrank isn't as useful. So it really does come down to those skill shots, but it also adds quite a bit of an effect when you're talking about playing around the objectives as well. It essentially does a very similar thing that the poke comps would do, right? When you're looking to land some of those skill shots, stop them from entering in. Well, a blitzcrank does exactly that. As long as that hook is up and that cooldown is in, then you can just honestly zone away a lot of the players that we have here for EGP when you only really have the Rel who's going to walk in with the guidance maybe of a Renekton. But other than that, a Varus and a Rumble, like, they don't have any real escapes besides their flash here. So if you can find a target, you pull them in, that player is likely dead.
That's the big thing too. There's a lot of setup because it's in a similar situation here from game 2 where I was talking about how Resolve have this comp where if you can get to objectives first, it is a nightmare to have to face check. And we're in a similar situation now too, because dude, who wants to face check Blitzcrank? Literally nobody. Like, it is just the most terrifying thing you could ever deal with in this game. And I don't even think I'm exaggerating. So because of that, Resolve's early game has to really be impactful here because we saw it in game 2. Even though they were a tough comp to face check against, they were never getting to objectives first. They got an early dragon. That was pretty much where that started and ended. So we need to see that go a little bit differently here. Go for some more of these bush plays. And of course, picking Blitzcrank, you already know that's what they're going to try and do.
Absolutely. And I really like the fact that you bring up, the dragon talk, because it felt like previously when watching Resolve, they were really good at dragon stacking. It was because they were always opting into those 50-50 fights where it's like, wait, maybe we win, maybe we lose. But there was a lot of cases where they were actually winning out on those, group games from the very first tier 2 there under Cup. And they were getting a lot of souls or getting at least on soul point quite a bit throughout a lot of their series games. So this is now been a change up because what we've seen so far has really been all about kind of conceding it, letting it go over, and then fighting when they have to, which is just really another look at Resolve, as a whole, from where we saw them and now how much they've been able to grow, over scrims and things like this. But when you mention the things of a Blitzcrank and just a lot of setup in the river, then maybe they might be looking for the dragons here for game 3. Who knows?
Well, I mean, I would love to see him go back to the dragon stacking ways. I think that will be really useful for them here. And you talk about growing. What better way to grow than to beat a team like EGP? It is a best of 3. It is still early on in the group stage, just day 2, but that would still be quite a statement victory here for Resolve. Didn't quite show up like we talked about in Cup. Now they have the opportunity to do so again here on day 2. If they beat EGP, now that's saying something.
It's saying something, yeah, because they went game 5 versus Wildcard Red. Not only but both teams are 1-0. So if you take this, then, well, you jump to the top of your group. And having yourself in that position to move on to playoffs is literally everything. And that's why these wins are just that much more important when we're talking about, the overall standings and, well, the results of where you're trying to get to here for them. So that is what we're going to have to look at. And it's a big one between the two. Who's going to hold the head-to-head, everything along those lines. But it's all going to come down to the game 3 as we talk about here for us, Beatdown. We saw the compositions, we saw the draft, and now it's really just trying to execute. Make sure Tomio doesn't do the exact same thing he did in that last game. Same thing with SkyTech. Don't give him the angles to find these engages. And on the flip side here for EGP, you got to make sure you're dodging some of those rocket grabs and positioning quite well. You can't have those same kind of mistakes that were being made where you do autopilot for a second like Array did, in the mid lane when he ended up getting caught. Those are the plays that end up costing you the game if you make them and if you're the carry doing them here. So we'll find out how it comes together, but I think we're just about ready to jump in towards game number 3 here, ladies and gentlemen. This one is going to decide it all as we jump right back on the Rift.
And I just want to say to your point as well about how Resolve were kind of getting caught out there in the game 2. I think to their credit, because the Nocturne is not available to Surdy this time around, they do have a little bit of leeway. The big thing with those semi-global ultimates is if you make one little mistake, you are one iota out of position, well, he can just fly across the map and take you down. Luckily, that's not available. You know what is available, Austin? It's Rocket
available?
Crab, and Winter. Winter is he's looking.
He's not looking. He's just waving. He's having a good time. He just wants to dance off here, beats out.
It's just the music, man. The Space Groove music slaps.
Yeah, it does slap. You know, if you're in a game and someone like this is dancing, if it's a Blitzcrank, I understand. But if it's like one of the other skins and they're just dancing, walking up the lane, I feel like you just gotta walk up and dance right back. You gotta dance right back. But if it's a Blitzcrank, there's an exception. There's an exception. We'll leave one.
Yeah,
out.
no. Blitzcrank players, dude, they're a little different, man. You can't take that chance.
Well, doesn't look like any invades are going to happen, at least as of yet. Winter is still hanging around, but I think he's going to back up. And it has been just, a very safe 5 point. They even drop a ward in that tri-brush just to make sure no one is sitting there in case there's a random hook that comes over the dragon wall, right? You just can't take that risk. So they play very respectful and make sure that nothing crazy happens level 1 here for EGP.
That's right. And of course, Winter was going to position just a little aggressively because that is your birthright as Blitzcrank at level 1. But will not find anything for it here. This time around, we have once again the jungler starting on the bottom, on the same side of the map. But this time around, they're getting leashed. Everybody knows where everybody's at. Now, what are we going to see kind of coalesce from this? Because Diana and Rumble, not the strongest early game of junglers. So I can't imagine we're going to see the big 1v1 plays. So it's going to be about the laners to try and get these small advantages to allow that bit of aggressive play from these junglers. Like Fnatic said, if I don't get the crab, it is a lane diff.
And you might not. Aspect actually finds a very nice trade there on towards AP as he walks up for the auto. Will punish him quite nicely. Gets the early level 2. Same thing essentially happening in the top lane. So this is a lot of priority when we're talking about the Renekton and the Lucian. And Fnatic might very well have a more difficult time on this Diana, a champion that doesn't exactly, come online early here. Needs some items, needs some levels. So this should be interesting to see how the crabs do play out for us.
We did see Tomio with some pretty interesting pathing to kind of avoid this very issue. We might have to see the same from Fnatic this time around, although I don't think anything quite like that is available to him here. Aspect, of course, is controlling this mid lane, the same for Surdy in the top lane. So I imagine Fnatic, as soon as he spots Tomio going for that top scuttle crab, he probably knows it's not it. But actually,
wow,
that's a nice ward from Surdy.
Very nice. And it will grab information immediately. I don't think Fnatic knows that the ward was placed there, as it probably just expired as he walked into the brush here. So this is really good information. And now the crab that we've been talking up should be good for Tomio as he collapses, has the prio in top lane, has the prio in mid lane. Fnatic has to concede. And this very well could just be a rotation for Tomio just to go right to the second crab too.
Yeah, because look at the prio. Even the bot lane is shoving. Shoryu and SkyTech are immediately already on the move just to make sure Fnatic is not in the area. Fnatic's resetting. Like, he already knows what is coming through at the moment. He's just going to try and get himself back on the map as soon as possible and see if there's a potential play for him to make here because... at the moment, no camps up, actually, in the bot lane resetting. There actually won't be a play for him to make for a little bit of time here. It's a nice reset for Shoryu and Tomio. And so far, things are looking all right for EGP.
Yeah, that was honestly really unfortunate because every single lane had prio, and even the bot lane leashed it down to half HP. Like, it doesn't get better than that beatdown. Just here's a little gift here. We have prio. Just make sure you get the double crab. Get your Medjai's back. We want to see that again here if you're an EGP fan or if you're on the team, because it was putting in work last game, and that means that resets will be taken now just about across the map here for us, as gold is actually in favor of EGP as they've come in towards this one quite nicely, but it's just back to farming and making sure you're getting all the CS.
Yeah, this is a great reset timer for sure. You misses absolutely nothing of that wave as well, as he's just going to walk his way back. Like you said, things are looking really good early on, as now this dragon is spawning very soon. You can already see the vision coming through for the side of EGP. It's already riddled on that bottom side of the map. Some defensive vision, some offensive vision. So you got to imagine Resolve aren't going to be able to make a play for this dragon, or maybe any plays at all for the next few minutes.
Slow push coming into the bot lane. A lot of casters. Sure, you could be setting up for maybe some kind of a dive if we happen to see anyone make their way down. But Tomio isn't exactly in the area, so that might not be very likely, but it's something that you have to think about when you're Resolve and you see something like that happening. Meanwhile, there is an Ocean Drake that has been up. I think it's been a lot of either oceans or mountains for the very first dragon, so it's been very nice RNG for whatever team does manage to collect it. And now Tomio, he wants to say hello to PCL. He said hello to PCL a lot in this series, and well, one more time might just mean a kill for first blood. No flash, as he knows he's dead to rights, and that is Tomio picking up first blood.
And beautiful, just like it went through in game 2. An easy kill for Tomio, who's now reached the level 6 mark. Easy reset and can immediately walk his way down to the bottom side of the map, secure the dragon. Everything in this early game is already going so very well for EGP, and we see it in the replay, just playing from Fog. At this point, it's just about the flash. W there. Wow, that looks funny on the replay client, but the point is Tomio is going to secure that one.
Yeah, the range on the W for Renekton isn't that big. It's not that big for anyone that does not know. I promise you it's not. Just looked a little weird there, but
it definitely feels like it when you're playing him.
Yeah, sometimes it does, but it's fine. It's still the kill that comes in the end, and more importantly, I think it's Tomio that picks it up, who has the Dark Seal here for himself. And I mean, why
Already
wouldn't
2
you?
stars.
It's that's right. It's just dealing a little bit more damage. They have excellent prio. You can even see SkyTech just moving on over just to make sure that they do have the prio to bring home a third crab. So that means that Fnatic is probably not in the best of moods for this game 3, at least off the start for Speeds Out.
Probably not. We already see the farm lead coming through, but the stark difference is that Fnatic is not 2-0. He is 0-0. And 0 at the moment here. Not a whole lot to show for it, despite some attempts at trying to set up plays. It's just not working. EGP so clean in this early game so far. And at the moment, too, I want to see Resolve try and maybe force something soon. You have the Blitzcrank. If you can get Fnatic down at an opportune time. One good flash rocket grab. Okay, there you go.
All right, they do find SkyTech, but they're able to chain damage right back here. And now it's actually a Ray that has to use the cleanse. Now, it was for an exhaust and a heal, so you will say worth, but a Ray is going to be feeling quite low as you're seeing the wave just being shoved in.
Oh, he's going to feel lower and lower because look at the top left of your screen. Tomio's here.
Oh, he's here. He is spotted. And there's the equalizer. It stops Ray from getting away. But it isn't a commitment. Tomio actually backs all the way up because I guess he knows Shoryu's got the snipes, baby. He brings it home, and well, even a solo plate on top of it.
Oh, it just doesn't get any better than that for EGP's bottom lane. So far in this game 3, Resolve just can't quite find any sort of angle at the moment here. And that's going to be Dragon number 1 for EGP, and the lead just starting to grow. Hopefully Fnatic, though, can trade for this Rift Herald. But it doesn't seem like he's going to be able to, because look who's in the area. Surdy is just checking, hey, what's going on around here?
Aspect also just checking the same thing. His blue buff is up, and he needs the blue buff at the moment. He's not going to be able to stay in lane too much longer without it. Fnatic waiting, as you mentioned, just seeing exactly if someone does walk into him for a face check. They want to catch a rotation maybe. And, well, they're going to go all the way in, but they're not going to find a whole lot. SkyTech was in the area. We'll go back towards the bot side. Meanwhile, seeing everyone just really solo farm at the moment here between every single lane as the supports were just doing their rounds, just making sure that they're involved in the play in case one breaks out.
No. Speaking of breaks out, we're raising a little bit of trouble here. No, he's going to walk away? Okay. I was really scared.
I could tell. I mean, I'd be scared too if I saw a level 7 Rumble with an ultimate that's back up with a SkyTech right behind him. I mean, that's a deadly combination if it lands for sure.
Yeah, at least the information, though, because of that pink ward by their blue buff, does give Fnatic the green light to go ahead and try and set up for this Rift Herald play. The problem is you are going to lose a lot of plates on the bot side as a result. APA is here in case something goes down, but here it comes.
Wow, both ultimates used here from the bot lane, and it's enough to find Ray, but Shoryu's taking the tower, and he flashed it and execute, so it doesn't matter. And now the flash from APA as he says hello, and it's one hell of a hello at that as the Pop Blossom secures the double.
Oh, and a nice roam from APA. We'll finally see Resolve give us a little bit of answering back here. The buff transfer is complete, and that's 2 kills for APA, who had a good Nico in game 2. Maybe this game is where the carry performance can come through. The chains of corruption here in the replay, so beautiful. It means that Array is just donezo, and Shoryu tanking the turret because they haven't touched. Oh, but he did flash. At least he doesn't give away any gold here. But the big thing is APA also coming in big with the Pop Blossom, secures 2 kills, and keeps himself in the game.
Well, a bunch of question mark pings came down on the mini-map as we saw in the replay. I don't know if that's from him or from his teammates, but at least, like you said, it's not the gold going over, but it is a flash that went over. It's just really a matter of, did Resolve actually note that he did flash or not? But I'm sure they're probably confused on how he ended up dying. Not really going to matter in the end, as it's still successful play. EGP coming away with a nice gold lead that is still 2,000 in their favor. More plates are going down, as you're just going to see Surdy just banging on the top tower here for some plates.
Yeah, and observers read my mind, just toggling the gold, just to show you, just pound for pound, what's going on here. APA, the only one with the discernible lead in this matchup so far. Everyone else on EGP are the ones in the lead. You're having big leads coming through across the board, especially with, look at Surdy, who's running the top lane matchup. Tomio, of course, who's just running the Rift at the moment here. The only one really kind of lagging behind a little bit is Aspect, but as time goes on and plays come through, there are still chances for him to really become effective here. So Resolve, as good as that play was from APA, they're gonna need to start making more plays really soon.
Fnatic yet to get involved, and it felt like that was the big conversation after the level 3 dive in the last game. Just unable to really create proactive plays on the map, and well, EGP clearly have been taking advantage of that. We also haven't really seen the Blitzcrank be a massive factor, a couple of hooks here and there, but hasn't really resulted in too many kills, and I think that's really one of the keys at the moment, as the vision is strong for the second dragon that's coming on up. Resolve might be looking to lock that on in, as Winter does come behind the pit. Could be looking for Aspect, but Aspect is reading this. He's like, something's not right. Something is absolutely going on. Too many members are missing, as everyone just about collapses on the mid lane tower, and it will be Resolve dropping the Rip Herald with more plates here. But it's a fight. Winter could be in trouble. The exhaust is on. The equalizer was good, but it's Fnatic who goes in, finds one. The Plot Blossom will secure a second. However, it's time for Surdy as he comes all the way in, but can't find a target. No dashes available. The root's going to land. Aspect has to use the cleanse. APA no longer here in range, but PCL is, and he comes through for one. Will there be a shred? There is, beautifully here for Tomio as he trades one back, and it is an absolute brawl in the red quadrant.
Now, so much happening in that skirmish. This is more like the Resolve that we all know and love in Proving Grounds past. But still, the fact that they are trying to force these plays is so good. They get forced on, of course, this time around, but it's the Moonfall that really contributes here. The Moonfall and the Pop Blossom are the two big ultimates from this composition here on the side of Resolve. And because PCL does a good job of keeping Surdy from killing Array, they manage to force the flash and get on top of him for the kill here. Even though they trade, they still get a lot of gold and pick up some of these shutdowns here. So I still think this is pretty good for the side of Resolve.
Still not too bad, and oh man, just down to the wire with these fights. But yeah, it really is not too bad at all. You get the shutdown, so it was 2,000. It is just a little bit less than that, but more importantly, you get the dragon to even up the odds. Make sure EGP isn't doing any of that dragon stacking this early, and it looks like EGP have already accepted that. They've moved their bot lane to the top side, and they're just going to try and trade what they can.
It's an easy gold. Turret plating is still up, so this is just Shoryu continuing to get all this gold into his pocket here. And it's showing he's still up 1,000 gold on Array. And of course, overall, EGP are still in the lead. But that might change if this rocket grab goes. Oh.
It's tough, right? We talked it up in draft. Like, this blitz, it can get picks, but you got to land the skill shots. That is the difficulty of really executing on the champion and bringing it home. And so far, has not happened really for Winter, struggling to find these angles and these looks, but it's also credit to EGP positioning well, dodging out on them. But now we go back to mid. Aspect's got the support right with them. Winter now with APA as well, as they're just really fighting over the mid lane priority. But because that tower has gone down, APA should be able to freely walk up. And now the same is said for Array. You can actually see Surdy just hesitating on whether or not he does want to stay for this. Now we realize the tower is going to go down. Array will pick that up, and he is free to catch the wave.
So this is now resolved off of that previous fight and some of these cross-map plays. They have managed to narrow this gold lead just a little bit. We're looking at like 900, 1,000 gold in favor of EGP, and this is good considering where things were just moments before that fight. But you need to keep it going here. Tomio, still really strong. We're looking at 7 stacks on the Dark Seal, and I think if you end up starting those fights off using the equalizer on more of a carry, a squishier target, maybe that fight does go differently because they did use it on Winter. So Resolve are definitely not out of the water just yet, but they do have a chance. They just have to continue playing these skirmishes really well, and especially setting up vision around these neutral objectives like we talked about in the draft.
Well, nothing to fight for right now except for that Rift Herald if they decide to move in. Meanwhile, looks like Surdy might be able to trade that tower back, which would even things on up, allow him to maybe even shove out this next wave, and there it is. It will go down here. Nicely done for EGP as everyone meets up in the mid lane. Just looking to say hello at the moment. SkyTech might be waiting for that angle if one does arise. Winter, meanwhile, still trying to fish for some hooks, but not going to throw one out just yet.
Whoa, Tomio took a lot of damage.
Oh, we found him! The shutdown is good. The stopwatch was unfortunate, and that means that Tomio gets pulled in a massive shutdown in Winter. There for the hook, finally.
Yeah, although Winter picking up the shutdown is not exactly ideal, but being able to keep your mid tier 1 turret up just a little bit longer, also allowing Array to solo farm in the top side is also pretty big here for Resolve, as now they tie up the gold lead, and now they really found their way back into the game here.
Oh,
Yo, that was too close.
Oh, I was waiting for that one. He could have pulled in SkyTech, but SkyTech likely makes it out. But you fight Aspect, and maybe you're able to kill him, or at least maybe even blow the summoners, and that really sets you up for some of these future fights. And talking about some of those future fights for us, Beatdown, both teams here at 1 dragon apiece, but it is Infernals. We've gotten Cloud Souls the entire series, but for game 3, Riot, they want to make it spicy for us. They're going to give us an Infernal Soul, and well, that's likely going to be highly contested here in about 1:25.
That's right, it will be in 1 dragon apiece. Doesn't mean both would really love to start dragon stacking as soon as possible. Worth noting, Fnatic is still holding on to that Rift Herald, so this easily could be a play where you clear mid. Once the dragon spawns, you drop the Herald and force EGP to have to answer that. It's definitely one option available to them. But right now, Vision is probably what they're most focused on. Winter is looking for picks, but at the same time, you got to make sure that the map is dark, because that's where Blitzcrank and the champs like him really shine, when you don't know where that rocket grab is coming from until it's already grabbed you.
Exactly, and Winter gets to freely walk up and clear vision. EGP, they don't have that luxury, and that means that they are going to be in the dark for this fight. I'm not sure if we can maybe even toggle it for a second just to take a look at the vision here, and they're really going to have some deep vision in the back, maybe for some TPs, but other than that, you can just see it. It is just so dark right now. It is so difficult to move into this river, and there it is. Look at that. Look at that. It is just completely dark Beatdown, and you have to worry about a Blitzcrank. You have to worry about a Nico, and that is a lot to worry about. Let's be honest.
That's right, but you think about it, EGP aren't worried at all, because look at what they're doing on the mini-map here. The pings are coming through from most likely Aspect as he's going to continue pushing out this wave, and with 2 other members moving up top, they're just going to concede this dragon and force Resolve to either answer or lose this tier 2 turret, but actually, Resolve might be able to get the dragon and save the turret.
PCL is playing very respectful, even with Winter behind him, just in case it is every single member waiting for PCL to walk up. But they do hold on, as you mentioned. 50% is going to be that tier 2 tower in the top lane, but you'll take that for an Infernal. That is for sure okay for them, and you still have this Rift Trail that is going to be expiring soon on Fnatic, so you might be looking to maybe even use this while you're all out on the map too.
Yeah, now we're looking at, geez, it looks like 30 seconds or something, so Fnatic's going to have to make something happen really quick. Maybe potentially use it in the mid lane. Maybe we don't get to see it used at all, but so far, Resolve are playing this one pretty well here. They managed to hold on to that tier 2, which I think is crucial, and it's crucial because they get that second dragon anyway. The split option didn't really work here, even though Aspect does push out this wave and someone will have to answer. I think overall, Resolve have been clawing their way back into this game, and it's starting to look pretty good for them.
Well, it sure is, and we mentioned the Rift Herald. It's going to have to be dropped.
I'm just watching it.
Yeah, we're just watching it tick away, and that's feel like what I do when my teammates pick up the Rift Herald. Just watching it tick away until it expires, and we got to use it now. So we might as well throw it on out, and they'll throw it. should be the top lane here. And yep, Shelly's going to make her way to the top lane, but I imagine that will certainly be matched. But this will draw someone up here to deal with it, and that does give you a chance to make a play like this where Winter gets to walk in and apply some pressure with the Blitzcrank.
Yeah, I like that one. Winter is watching people on the cross just to punish anybody who is nearby, but instead EGP maybe expecting this or just rather interested in taking this mid-tier 1 in trade, which I think is probably the best they could have hoped for in this scenario. Trying to answer the Herald might have been detrimental for them, but now there's a fight.
Yeah, it's a fight, and well, I mean, it is really because Resolve are just forced off of it. All of that poke damage that comes through with the calling and the flame spitter is enough to say, let's go for the Baron call. Very risky, but low health bars. Fnatic chunked down, but he's going to heal up a bit. That smite will be back up just in time. As APA, he has a flank angle. And EGP, they finally get their mark. They go in, they'll find Winter. Support is down. 4 versus 5. PCL, APA on the wrong side of the map. They'll try to go in. The killer instinct there. Aspect cleanse and flashes out, but Shoryu has found Fnatic. Jungler down. PCL gets the Sonic Wave, weaves it in. A lot of low health bars, but PCL forced in towards the Zanya's here, and that will be collected for Aspect. Still in the mid lane, APA is healthy. He is chunking out health bars, and now going back in will be Surdy. Can he find his mark? At the moment, the answer is no. The 2 versus 4, but Array in APA just going to hold on out, wanting to bait this one. The piercing arrow doesn't find anything, and that means everyone will back away.
Yeah, I love how spread the remaining members of EGP are. They get too close. All of a sudden, a flash pop blossom just turns everything in Resolve's favor. And we're going to see how that comes. Nope, we aren't going to get a replay. So we're just going to keep things rolling here in this game 3. And honestly, really well played here from EGP. Resolve also almost managed to get it for themselves, but not quite. It all started with that Baron play that they made.
Winter is just... he really has like so much space to work with. Tomio's in range. You have Aspect, Shoryu, any of them, and they are just paying their respects as they should. And Winter is going to take a reset, go and refresh those wards, get back out on the map. Surdy's going to create some side lane pressure in the bot lane, getting that wave shoved in, and that is going to draw some attention over PCL and Fnatic. They are nearby. The TP is going to come in, and APA will look to land the root, but it is going to be a fight. Nonetheless, Surdy's going to take one with them potentially here, as PCL was the target, but he kites away, and now they should be able to lock him down. The Pop Blossom is there. They follow it up. It's just a matter of who's going to take the kill, and it's Fnatic. But hey, the Baron call is here. Winter's the only one to respond, and you're trying to hope for a steal. They want to burn it down as fast as possible. The equalizer is there. Array going to shoot at a Void Seeker, but it's not going to matter, and that's in trade of the Baron. Good looks here for EGP.
And really nice stalling there from Surdy, managing to live just long enough with all that attention on the bottom side of the map. Means it's an easy Baron secure, almost no shot of Array being able to steal it. Now, all you have to hope for is that they're on reset, 30 seconds till the Dragon. You can try to take these camps, try to set up whatever vision you can, because getting the soul point here would be a great consolation for Resolve.
Surdy does have that teleport up, so we can look to be here in time, and he's going to come through with it right away. But ultimates are going to be down on a lot of players. Of course, not the Rumble. That is back up, and, well, as soon as you close your eyes and open them back again after blinking. So it is here for us, and this is just a matter of how well can you play around the vision. And, I mean, they're not even going to play this game. If you want to go for the Dragon, go for it. We're just going to use our Baron in the mid lane.
Yeah, I think at this point you knew you were going to lose this tower either way, so they're going to go and force the Dragon as a team and immediately reset. They might lose the inhibitor for it. Definitely will be this turret, but the fact that they managed to get that Dragon and EGP are walking away, I think is probably the best Resolve could have hoped for in that situation here.
Not too bad overall, but is the push done? Aspect is here. Tomio going to take away some extra resources in the jungle. Winter looking for a rocket grab. Can't exactly line one up as he moves in here confidently, and very well could be engaged on, but SkyTech isn't going to look for that player in particular. And now it's just a push on the tier 2. The equalizer is down. Winter is low. The hook is just barely going to miss as the dash is here for Surdy, but that will still result in another tower falling.
Oh, Austin, look at Fnatic's inventory. He's got the Sorcerer's Elixir. They're looking for a fight, and they're going to look for it soon. They want to try and just stop this Baron push in its tracks here, but they're just looking for an angle. Will they be able to find it? All the big ultimates, in fact, all of their ultimates are available. So if you find an angle, or if they see an angle, you got to imagine they're just going to full send it.
Likely. I imagine they will for sure, and this Baron is going to be running out very soon for us. There is no objectives on the map, so let's take a reset, spend all that gold that we just collected for ourselves, and we'll take a look at it here. The differential, we can see it. APA no longer has that big lead that he had in previous games. Things actually relatively even because of the farming here from really both of them overall, but there is a pretty big differential for the 80 carries beatdown. I assure you has very much accelerated in this game.
And that's right. It's even for APA, but unfortunately for Resolve, that is not the case anywhere else on the Rift here. And you can see it, they're behind in pretty much every other lane. And it's so tough with all the gold that EGP have gotten for themselves with this Baron. And now you can see Skytech, he's looking for something. He's just hanging around in case Resolve step just a little too far forward. He's found some great engages on this champion last game, this game, and he's looking to help them close it off with that very same kind of engage.
Now, how do you deal with the map right now? The macro was so good in game one for Resolve, but as we get later and later, one mistake could cost you the series. Intensity building, everyone's setting everything up, as we won't have an objective for about 2:30, but that Infernal, that's a big one. EGP need this to make sure that Infernal Soul is not going over to this composition for Resolve.
Yeah, that could be pretty big boon for Resolve. Potentially their way back into the game, depending on how they acquire it, though. If they get it and get aced, well, then it's not really going to end up being worth it. So this execution is going to have to be so very good from Resolve. And we're going to have to see if they'll be able to do exactly that. They're trying to clear up the vision, but look at their bot side jungle. There's just so much that they're going to have to clear. And 2 minutes till Dragon number 5.
Mid lane priority now, the goal for EGP. As you wait for Winter to look for a hook, the back and forth is going to cost him his life. 30 will use the ultimate maybe, or just the flash. So does at least get out, but that's going to cost him a summoner as well as a stopwatch. And now they're not done. Winter going to have that rocket grab up here very soon, as he's going to zone everyone from EGP away.
And those are the bush plays I was talking about, Austin. As soon as somebody is just playing around in and around that fog of war, Winter punishes them right away. You get the flash out of Surdy. If you got a kill, that would have been phenomenal. But getting him to back, knowing he doesn't have TP, does afford you more pressure on the map here. Look, they can push out this mid wave. Show you. Oh, what? Dude, I just want to say, if I was playing Varus in that game, it would have hit me. What is that?
Oh, sure you. I'm sure taking a deep breath after that one. Close call. And that's the tower. Nice job here. Resolve going to use their side lane pressure. Meanwhile, Tomio runs all the way to the mid lane. Going to cut the wave off. And can they really push for this? They're going to attempt to make a play.
Yeah, and they're actually going to be forcing the recall here, and in doing so, they kind of forfeit their superior position in and around that Dragon Pit. This is really smart from EGP, because now they can threaten 2 lanes here, go for the inhib, and what can you do except give up the same position I was talking about, Austin? Nice hook!
There's the pull. They find Skytech. The equalizer comes down, but it's just Winter who gets chunked out in this one. Still, it is very even across the board as we see Surdy go all in, but he's pulled back by the Moonfall. Fanatics very far forward, but the hook lands again. Tomio forced into stasis. APA, big pop blossom as he finds multiple members, but he is dealt with. It is EGP on the hunt, looking to clean up anything they can. They have found a beautiful 2-for-2. Still low health bars, though, as we see Array fight back. Flashes away from the piercing arrow. They want to run him down, and Winter has a rocket grab available. He finds Shoryu, but it's only going to stall things out, and that will also be the demise of Winter. PCL and Array, what do they have for us? Do they even want to fight?
Okay, here's the thing. They might have a chance at stealing the dragon, of course, but PCL might not be able to get that one done. He has the 1v1, though, Austin. No Dragon's Rage. Does he go for it, or does he force them off?
Oh, PCL, he stops them from fully committing. Piercing arrow, where are you going to go? There it is. Sniper, Shoryu finds that piercing arrow. Won't be dodged any longer, so the 80 carry will fall. PCL just has too many members to really deal with here. Everyone is here. The Chain of Corruptions won't land, but PCL, he's got to walk himself out.
Actually,
Whoa.
it's APA.
They want the fight. Magnet Storm is in here for SkyTech, followed up by the
Moonfall.
Moonfall. The damage is massive. BCL and Fnatic, though they can't deal with everyone, BCL will be left for death as it's a double collected for Tomio. Aspect will grab the third, and now EGP, they can threaten the base.
Oh, and they're going to go for it. They can end the game right here. Look at these spawn timers. 30 seconds on the top side of the map for EGP, and Winter is surely going to follow. EGP in game 3 managed to clutch this one out in the fight for the Dragon Soul.
18 seconds on the jungler and the mid laner. Can they hold? The Equalizer is going to chunk Array just a bit. He could still fight, but you need Winter to set up a massive hook, and that might not be in the cards. Do they have it? The engage is in. They lock down Array, but he's able to escape with the Killer Instinct. However, he has a sliver of HP, and now it's time for his team to move in. They're just going to auto the Nexus. Do they have enough in the tank? It looks like they do. EGP, they will focus the objective. They will bring